I crawl along the wreckage of what now is gone. Back to you to fight another day. I'll go on and on and on and on. I'm facing the demons I created with every last part of me. The pain will fade and I'll go on and on and on and on. Black and blue, I crawl to you. Black and blue, I crawl to you.
We're live.
We're live.
Hooray!
Alright, everyone. We're not even gonna do a proper greeting since we have so much shit to talk about.
That's right, because
Yes,
we're going to be
yes.
talking about Nicktoons.
Yes.
My
Or
specialty.
Nickelodeon.
Or Nickelodeon in general, but then again, Nick is mostly known for its Nicktoons anyway, so there's no real
Yeah,
difference.
anyway, so...
And Craig!
GH!
Yay! What a
Hey,
surprise!
GH! Whoop.
Craig! Why are you here? I thought you said you were
Boop!
I mean, quit it. I mean, I wasn't here for Sega. I figure Nickelodeon, I know a bit about it. I probably won't say much unless I know things.
Okay, no.
Alright, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the history first. When first Nickelodeon was known as Pinwheel in the found, it was launched as Pinwheel, right, Decent?
Yeah, and the thing about it was that Pinwheel was one of the channels in an experimental cable system known as Cube. What Cube was basically the first interactive television service ever made. Like, they would often, in shows, have, like, these segments where you would have, like, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, press 3 for tits. And then they would vote, and then they would tabulate, and then it would affect the show. As far as I know, Pinwheel didn't really do that, though.
Pinwheel, yeah. It doesn't... And then it was renamed Nickelodeon, because...
Yeah, but the Splat logo wasn't there yet. It had a different type of logo.
Yeah,
Exactly.
apparently the first logo was an actual Nickelodeon, a projector, and a man was looking into it. Which is kind of weird.
Yeah, that's kind of what those things were.
Wow.
The only thing I remember about the early days of Nickelodeon was that it was pretty much mostly syndicated cartoons.
Yeah, that was
And
basically
also,
it.
yeah, I remember they had the syndicated rights to Looney Tunes before. I remember that.
Yeah,
I've seen it in a little promo.
And hell, Nickelodeon actually aired Looney Tunes until 2000 when Warner Bros. Decided that it was going to be Cartoon Network only.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Nickelodeon struggled first in 1984. They had they lost like $10 million on their revenue.
Yeah, because
when,
the guy who ran Nickelodeon at the time was a guy named Cy Schneider. He was basically a really sort of marketing kind of guy, the how do you do, fellow dudes, fellow kids kind of person.
Sounds like
Oh
an
my
asshole.
goodness.
Yeah, that's why Nickelodeon was kind of slapped into the frickin' ground for a while before the Splat logo came in.
Yeah, here's the
So
thing.
in 1984, so in October 1984, they announced that they were gonna rebrand themselves, and they added the pretty much famous logo they had in history, the
Yeah,
Splat logo. But it
Yeah.
wasn't Splat yet,
To be
but it has the same font.
exactly. And here's a very interesting fact about the logo. Did you know that that logo was the very reason that Nickelodeon is still around today? Within 6 months, the entire channel went from worst in the ratings to first in the ratings. I'm not even joking.
Wow, and here's the thing
It went
about
from
that.
the last place to number 1 because of that freaking logo.
Yeah, and they don't
Yeah.
use it anymore.
Oh yeah, so since in around the 80s, the 80s, so the Viacom and other networks were being so popular in terms, they were having a huge value in revenue stocks. So in 1988, they decided to air the Kids' Choice Awards, the first ever.
Oh my god.
Fascinatingly well.
I
I mean,
don't-
I could go into detail about how exactly Viacom bought Nickelodeon in '86, but that would get kind of too businessy for this episode.
Oh yeah, so yeah, though I'm like 90, yeah, like Diesem said, 1986, Viacom bought Nickelodeon along with MTV, RTS, and other networks, also VH1.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. Oh.
All
Yeah.
right, so in 1990, Nickelodeon did a partnership with Universal Studios in Florida.
Oh wow. Yeah. And I do remember that and now we're gonna talk about the stuff you've been waiting to hear for about a few minutes.
But
But
before that, I would like to bring attention to some chats from Kenny Vargas. He said, "Hello. Let me guess, you're all talking about Nick and Nicktoons."
Hello.
God,
Yes.
I had to like Nick and
Yeah,
Nicktoons are
that's
doing
it.
good,
That's
okay?
been
That's
this
like
week.
the ruined films. Like, I'm glad they put a NFL wildcard game on Nick. Oh my god, we're gonna get to that at the
Oh
end
god,
of this thing.
we're gonna get to that later on today. But like in 1990,
Football?
Nickelodeon and Universal did a partnership, and they opened an attraction in Universal Studios Florida called, everyone knows it,
Nickelodeon Studios at Universal Studios Florida. And yes, MPage, they actually aired a fucking football game on Nick recently. And
yeah, just a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
We're gonna
aware
talk
of
about
Nickelodeon
later
Studios
on.
and Universal
Talk about it
Studios
later.
because that's where all the game shows came from.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that all today. Let's just get started with how Nickelodeon rise to the top
now
in
let's
terms of
talk
success.
about
So in 1991, Nickelodeon aired three cartoons where they branded, you know what it is,
Yeah, that-
Nicktoons. They're known as
yeah, that
Doug,
Nicktoons.
Rugrats, and Ren and Stimpy. Hey, GH. Do, 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 do.
And we don't really know much about Doug here on this show, so we're only gonna make a quick comment about it.
now
Uh,
Yeah,
let's
go ahead, Decem.
Alright, here's my quick comment about Dog. Dog was the first Nicktoon. It was kind of a slice of life show. It was kind of cute, but then again, Disney bought it around the time that Doug was canceled, and then Doug's first movie happened, and Doug's owned by Disney now, and what do you know? We're fucking here. So that's my quick comment. Let's chat to Rugrats.
Okay, now here's the first.
Rugrats, yes, Rugrats. When
The
people
first
saw that
thing-
show, they thought it as a preschool show.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's the first gigantic cash cow Nickelodeon ever shat out.
Exactly.
Literal-
To the
Yeah,
point
let's-
where Rugrats actually aired on Nick Jr. at one point as well as Nick.
That's
Oh yeah, back then Nick Jr. was. Oh yeah, it was called Noggin.
Oh, I remember.
Not yet.
now.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
back
Yeah,
in like
but-
'99 when it first aired, but the Nick Jr. block has been around since '88.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Rugrats. Yeah, Rugrats was the cartoon that made Nickelodeon what it is in that time.
Yeah, it had 3 movies, and also it ran from 1991 to 2004.
4. Yeah, but in 2004, the last episode in 2004 was just like a lost episode, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Rugrats ended production around 2002, I believe, and they just liquidated the rest of the episodes throughout the past few years just so
Yeah.
to extend
Mostly
it.
because it was all grown up production thing, because
Yeah.
the creators of Rugrats decided to do all grown up. Basically,
We're
the
gonna get to
characters-
that. Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a little bit, Tonio. So now that we've covered the biggest gigantic thing Nickelodeon ever did, let's move to the other thing that defined the 90s.
Right?
Ren and Stimpy.
Yes, and Kenny
You know
Vargas
what?
actually pointed out that one episode of Ren and Stimpy got frickin' banned.
I know, it's the liquor one.
Yep.
How do I know that? I've been on Kim Cartoon.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Ren and Stimpy was those shows that were super kind of edgy when it comes to like
Yeah.
super violence and mid violence, but like
Yeah,
it was like one of those shows.
in the words of the angry video game nerd, it was basically Looney Tunes on crack.
Yeah, basically. It was mainly because John Kay was so pissed off about how cartoons at the time were kind of stiff in their movements, so John Kay did the exact opposite of that. And that's all we'll say about John Kay, because, no.
Poor John Kay. Like, Ren and Stimpy had a tragic fate. In so
Yeah.
many different
Yeah,
ways.
I mean,
I remember. I think it had.
So did his
five-
career.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I think it had 5 seasons. Yeah, it had 5 seasons. And
Well,
then,
I know that the last couple episodes were aired on Spike TV.
oh god, yeah. I do remember, yeah. And now, since Ren and Stimpy pioneered the wacky movement, it wouldn't surprise you that the next show we're talking about had even wackier movement.
Rocko's Modern
Modern Life.
Hmm.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, this show made me feel uncomfortable when I first saw it.
Well, it was kind of random, just like how, it's eventually we're gonna talk about this show eventually, but yeah, that show was kind of cheesy.
God, it was cheesy and a half. Basically, the thing about Rocko's Modern Life is that it took what Ren and Stimpy did and just made it even more random. The thing about the show I didn't really like is that the show is pretty much everything must abuse Rocco. He must scream all the time, and everything must hurt him.
Oh,
That
baby,
poor
oh, baby, oh, baby.
Oh my god, that freaking gag. All I really know Rocco for is SpongeBob, the freaking early crew, and that joke. That's all I know about Rocco.
all I know about, I do know.
I remember there was a character named Dr. Bandova.
Oh
I also
my
remember-
god.
I remember that some of the bigger stars got their stardom there. Like, I remember Carlos Acquaza, the future voice of
Kazari,
Alzaraki. It's Alzaraki.
Carlos
Alzaraki.
Alzaraki was the
And
voice
there
of
was a
Rocco,
sign
and
that
Tom
said,
Kenny
"Welcome
was
to
the voice
Texas."
and Tom Kenny was the voice of Heifer, and Mr. Lawrence was Doug Lawrence was the voice of Filbert the turtle. So we had 3 gigantic stars that are gonna come down the road, be the biggest voice stars that starting in Rocco. But the thing about Rocco is it didn't end well. I don't think it ended on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, it ended because I know that Joe Murray was already not interested in doing the show, so Steven Hellenberg was part. He also wasn't part of the crew anymore.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about with Steven Hillenberg next, right after 2 more shows that we have to go over first.
Oh yeah, Rocket Power and the Wild Thornberries.
No, we didn't. I didn't add those to the list. If you want, Tony, you can mention. I don't know enough about Rocket Power and the Wild
It's
Thorn.
part of the history though.
Okay,
Yeah.
Oh my god, Rocket.
Okay, both of you go over that because I don't have any input. I'm gonna.
So, here's all I'm gonna say about the Wild Thornberries. The movie was actually pretty sweet. I actually really liked it, but I actually haven't seen one episode of the show besides the movie.
Actually, the
Yeah,
show.
same here. Well, I didn't see the show. Like the only thing I know
Remember-
about the show is that Lee's in it.
Here's the thing. It gave stardom to one of animation's best voices, Tim Curry.
Oh my god. Oh my god, Nigel. Like, the real legacy of Wild Thornberries these days is Nigel as a meme.
Yeah, Nigel. You can't.
And also the other show, Klasky Sipo, whatever the company that made the
Oh, Our
Rugrats
Real
also made
Monsters.
another show.
Oh, Our Real Monsters.
And also, Our Real Monsters, Angry Beavers, anyone also that
we're
other
just
show.
gonna we have to skim over those ones because I'm not really familiar with either. And honestly, it'd be better to talk about those we're familiar about because
All right, let's talk about Cat Dog.
no, Nick, we're talking about Hey Arnold first.
All right, Hey Arnold.
Here comes Hey Arnold.
It's just about a kid.
It's about Football Head, and it's another slice of life show that improves off of Dog. But the thing about Hey Arnold is that I do remember it being very slow-paced. And honestly, Arnold, I never thought of Arnold as an interesting character. But it did.
I feel like he was always chill. He was like those people that were like mostly neutral.
Yeah, he was like stoned a lot of the time. Another thing is that, one quick thing, but it did introduce me to one trope, the puppy love trope, with Helga and Arnold.
Oh god.
Oh, Helga. Oh yeah,
One
that
thing
character,
about
Helga, that
Arnold
character.
that I did not. Go ahead.
Like think about it, Helga. She was kind of bizarre in terms of I don't know, like
Character.
her attitude, like her, like when it comes to like she's always like I don't get it. Like she always has to like bully Arnold, but later she hides
She
the fact that she's in love with him.
Yeah, here's the
Yeah,
thing.
that's just kind of weird. Like, nowadays, that would just be frowned upon across the board. I
Yeah,
guess in the 90s, it's
yeah,
kind of different.
I'm gonna talk about that in a modern show later on down the road in this
Like-
episode.
In the meantime, like one thing that about Hey Arnold I never caught on to until I was older and got Google Translate. One of the characters' names, Mr. Kakashka. Kakashka is Russian for piece of shit.
Oh my god!
Apparently
Oh,
that got through
no.
the fucking censors, huh?
God, that just
Yeah, like it's actually still being getting away with today. Like to take a brief off-topic moment here, I was watching Sweet Life on Disney, and when the main character was talking to this Russian lady, he called her a cold kakashka.
Oh my
Oh.
god.
oh no. Oh no. Okay, so Hey Arnold ran for about 3 seasons, and it ended on a very bad note with a very bad movie.
Actually, five seasons.
Okay, 5 seasons. I don't keep track of these
Actually,
things. But I do know-
5, and Hey Arnold, kind of like Rugrats, was kind of extended over the past couple years of its life, so the show ended production around 2000, 2001, but the last episode didn't air until 2004.
Yeah, Nickelodeon. That was kind of weird about
coulda got
Nickelodeon during that time. It's like
Yeah,
it's like some of the shows that they had, they didn't finish like the season because of delays or something. That was kind of weird.
Yeah, they had to space it out and make room for the next. Now, before we talk about the biggest show, let's talk about one of its predecessors. Like, let's talk about our favorite bicranial quadruped, Cat Dog. Other,
Oh,
One Monday when I opened the bar and one morning.
now, Cat Dog. If I were to
Go ahead.
rate my favorite pre-SpongeBob shows, I think Cat Dog would be my favorite. Because honestly, it got me introduced to Jim Cummings
yeah.
as Cat.
Yeah,
However-
my experience with Cat Dog is I saw this one episode at like 4 a.m. on Nicktoons Network at one point, but I rarely ever remember any details besides this one scene where they were on some kind of truck.
Yeah, I do remember that there were a lot of Cat Dog episodes where Tom Kenny performing as Dog. It wasn't really as noticeable as you think, but what really sold the show for me is Jim Cummings' Cat. Like he was the ultimate grump, the ultimate snitch, and the ultimate greedy bastard. Like and you just love the way he screams. And then there was just the one, and then
Oh yeah, Carlos Alazraqui still he's in the show too. He's the voice of Winslow, the mouse, with the
I
Brooklyn
remember
accent.
I remember. Hiya, Cat Dog. What are you, nuts? I also remember the Greaser Dogs who always beat up Cat Dog.
Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff,
Yeah.
Lube, and Shriek. I also remember Rancid Rabbit.
Mm.
Voiced by Billy West.
Yeah, and then there's that squirrel Eddie. I do remember him. Maybe I should make a YTP of Cat Dog. Maybe I can find a way to sneak past.
Like Billy West, I only know Billy West. The only
Oh.
thing I remember about Billy West is Fry. Shut up, take my money.
Yeah, and also Billy West did help voice Ren and Stimpy. That's
Yeah.
Another thing is, so now that we've gone over the Cat and the Dog, they had 3 seasons plus. It didn't really.
People
end-
call it like a successor to like Rocco Smart Life a little bit.
Here's the thing about it didn't really end the way it was. I believe it ended with them finding their parents. I think I never saw that episode, but
Yeah,
Oh.
just along with Hey Arnold and Rugrats, it ended also kind of delayed too. Like it
Yeah,
ended on Nicktoons
it
on June
ended.
15, 2005.
When
Yeah,
I
the
thought
thing
this
is-
kissed already.
I don't understand why that happened. Like, I thought it ended a long time ago. But the thing about it is that, like, I think it deserved a little bit better. A little more tension.
Well, yeah, it's like this, like these types of cartoons kind of lost
Yeah.
relevance after a show that we're gonna talk about soon. But
Yeah, now speaking of attention, we're gonna talk about a show that has had attention to this very day in many different ways.
It's the moment you've
Eh,
all been waiting for.
hey, decent, play the clip where in the hey, decent, play the clip. You know the clip in the train video? Play that clip.
Yeah,
Although people already get the point though.
okay, SpongeBob SquarePants. Now, for this, we're going to split this into a few different sections throughout this episode. For this section, we're going to talk about seasons 1 through 3 and the first movie. Because, trust me, we have to get past a lot of other cartoons just to have a chance at the other.
SpongeBob.
Oh yeah. But I think
Okay.
at first
This is what defines SpongeBob. This is the heart and soul of SpongeBob, and it's the best SpongeBob.
And for a lot of closed-minded people, these are the only things that exist.
yeah.
So many,
Including you?
especially the YTP community. They always YTP seasons 1 through 3 and the first movie. They never take a look at the rest of the show and actually make a YTP out of it. That's something.
I mean, if you want to
Actually-
get technical, they do some of them did include clips of the modern episodes in the early episode YTPs, only to have like the characters in the shot like freaked out at seeing themselves in the future and the bullshit that awaits them.
Yeah, actually, you remember the SpongeBob Christmas special, the 2012
Oh,
one?
God,
They made a YTP of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
And here's the
Wait,
thing.
wait,
You've
that
never-
stop motion one?
Yeah, but
Yeah, the
here's
stop motion one.
You never see a solo YTP of, let's say, the Splinter, or you never see a solo YTP of something like Choir Boys. Now, the thing about
To be
SpongeBob,
fair, this one here is pretty much a growth YTP of itself.
let's get back to the topic of the first 3 seasons. There were some good things. We all remember growing up with those. And although my only regret is I never saw the movie in theaters.
Like because I was only like 4
I was too young.
Yeah,
I was young. I was like 1.
I was 4 when the first movie came out, and the thing
I
about
was-
me with SpongeBob is that I remember watching SpongeBob as long as I can remember, like literally, like my earliest memories.
too.
I knew what SpongeBob was.
The thing about
Well, like speaking of memories, like the first SpongeBob I remember watching first was the season 4 Fear of the Krabby Patty,
I
post
do.
season 3.
Yeah, we're gonna get to season 4 and beyond eventually. I remember first watching the chocolate episode. Everyone loves the chocolate. But here's the thing: does anyone have like a least favorite from the first 3 seasons?
Not really.
Honestly,
What's the one where SpongeBob pretended to be stupid?
Oh, I'm
That's-
stupid. That
Yeah.
one. I mean, according to
I hate that one. Yes.
According to the Sponge critics, it's one of the few quote-unquote bad episodes of old SpongeBob.
honestly, my least favorite episode
mean,
was the original.
The house party, SpongeBob's house party was the one that kind of didn't
Honest-
like that much.
Here's the thing: SpongeBob's house party could
Oh
be.
yeah.
It's a double-sided
Chocolate
coin.
with nuts. Oh my god, that episode was great.
Here's the-
Chocolate?
yeah.
But like house party, like I don't get it. It's like why would the cops arrest SpongeBob if he's the one? Like I didn't get that plot.
I think, that episode is one of those episodes like you really love it or you really hate it. Here's now my least favorite episode of season 1 was I Was a Teenage Gary. In fact, I think it actually.
Oh my god, I remember that episode. It sparked as a kid, it sparked like a fear of like weird ass transformation sequences and animation, and now it's kind of.
Yeah, it turned a kink on. And
I honestly thought that episode was alright.
here's the thing,
What?
I just didn't really. It really triggered something inside of me. Then again, SpongeBob didn't really trigger the kink of transformation for me first. That was totally Spies. we'll get to that in another episode.
Yeah.
Alright,
yeah,
but
the
like,
weird
alright,
thing,
let's
it's
talk
like
about.
transformation as a kid, it gets me out of my pants, but like as an adult, it gets me out of my pants in a different way.
Yeah, here's the
Hey, let's
thing.
talk about. Go ahead.
The legacy of SpongeBob, really. I mean, the fact that the only YTPs of SpongeBob always use the first 3 seasons is a testament to how iconic that these episodes have became. Like, they're up there with some of the greatest cartoons of all time, up there with the Looney Tunes, up there with the Tom and Jerry's.
Now,
Yeah.
speaking
And
of
the movie was the final episode. They never made
Hey,
it more, and
so
left
like,
behind a very
so
damn
you
good
know the
legacy.
difference between all the seasons, like SpongeBob's voice, like Tom Kenny, SpongeBob, how he involved in voice in his type in terms of pitch of voice. Like in the early season, he had a deeper voice, but later in season 4, his voice was already what it is today.
let's cut
That
it.
was more of Nickelodeon's intervention.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the following season soon. But first, let's talk about another long-running show. Fairly
Fairly
Odd
Odd Parents.
From the man who created
Oh,
your childhood.
that shit.
From the man.
Yeah,
From
so
the-
we're gonna be talking about.
Yeah, the man who created your childhood and mocked an actress's suicide.
Here's the thing. We're gonna talk about seasons 1 through 5 because we're gonna talk about the other seasons later on because we got to split these things up or else we're never gonna get to the other shows.
Yeah.
Okay, seasons 1 through 5. Now, I remember loving the Fairly Odd Parents when it first came out. I remember loving Timmy and his antics. I remember Cosmo always being a dumbass in the right way. I also remember.
Yeah.
I actually
Also-
remember the Fairly Odd Parents being my absolute favorite show ever because it really showed a window into what you could do in the innocence of childhood.
Yeah, and another thing.
I really wanted to replicate the wishes growing up.
Now, yeah, and also.
He's an average kid that no one understands. How do you not relate to that?
Also, it was the first cartoon to introduce me to wide hips. Thank you, Timmy's mom.
Yeah, let's get this on a better subject.
Okay, basically.
Yeah, I thought.
There were
No,
so
I thought
many
that-
episodes that were so greatest of all time. Honestly, if there's just like so many. Like I remember there was the one. God, it's so hard to remember the early seasons. You want to know why? Because we're gonna get to that later on.
Well, the only thing I remember is that between like the animation style, but like the early seasons were like, I don't know, like they were just like it was what it was supposed to be, just a show of its plots. That's what
yeah, and
that's
like there were
that's
no,
what they actually did. They actually followed the plot of the beginning of the show, not like the later seasons.
I do remember from Butch Hartman when he was talking about his experiences. I do remember him saying like at the beginning he only made 13 episodes and it was so popular that he actually had to run the old pilot animations to go along with it because he couldn't make any more episodes right away.
Yeah, and apparently they had to actually dub all of Mary Kay Bergman's lines with Tara Strong.
Oh my god. I can only imagine the
Yeah.
torture that
Just
must have been.
imagine the freaking suicide joke in that fucking context, damn.
God, it's just
Oh my god, that fucking thing. I feel bad. Just it's like
Too. Like,
I feel bad for anyone that puts himself through that, but like or has to go through what they went through to get up to that point. But like what Butch Hartman did, just like I want to puke right now, and I barely ate anything. That's how
What
bad it
did he do? Did he try to commit suicide live on camera? Or something?
no,
No.
Butch Hartman
Oh
made
no,
fun.
Butch Hartman pretty much said. Go ahead.
Butch
You got
Hartman is basically said that Tara Strong being the voice of Timmy Turner was why Mary Kay Bergman committed suicide. And in the context
Really?
of
Because I heard it differently. I heard him say like he touched upon the death and then said, think about it like this, if it wasn't for her dying, you wouldn't have had the role of a lifetime.
oh my god, like that's what I heard as well, but especially in the context of Mary Kay Bergman's voices all getting dubbed by Tara Strong, that just hurts even more.
Okay, now let's
I only
talk.
know Mary Kay Bergman because of South Park. I remember she voiced pretty much most of the female characters. Do you remember that, GH?
Wait, was she the old voice of Wendy? Because I remember
Yeah,
when
the old
Wendy
voice of
was in the early
Wendy.
seasons, she sounded different than
Wendy,
Wendy does now.
Sharon, Marsh, and Kenny's mom. Pretty much all the female characters in the early seasons of South Park.
Now let me explain why the slow dip of the episode plots between seasons 1 through 5. Because believe it or not, there is a dip. Basically, seasons 1 through 3 were nice, and then season 4, you notice that there's a little bit of a animation quality increase, but then the comedy's starting to go down. Season 5, I think, might have been like the lowest in terms of, you can see that they were starting to run out of ideas. I mean, they had a whole episode where they had to call upon Wanda's father just to clean up some trash. And then I remember there was an episode about body swapping, which I'm not going to talk about. I also remember there was
where did the trilogy fall into play? The Power Hour.
The Power Hour. Now, the Power Hour, simply put, we're going to talk about that after our next spot, which we're moving to Into the Stars, cool guy, Jimmy Neutron.
Oh my
yes,
god, I remember Jimmy Neutron.
The other half of the Power Hour.
I remember Jimmy Neutron being another one of my favorite shows, because it was kind of like Fairly Odd Parents, but instead of magic, it was just him doing science.
Yeah, I love Jimmy Neutron because the reason...
He just wanted to do a bunch of experiments, that's what he did. Right, Decent?
Yeah.
I learned things from him.
The thing about Jimmy Neutron that stood out is, like, it was the only show that was animated like a 3D movie.
Well, yeah, it was the rise of 3D animation.
Because it was a 3D movie. Runaway Rocket Boy was a pitch pilot, and then it became a movie.
Yeah, and what strikes me about Jimmy Neutron is that it's the first CGI show that doesn't come across as cringeworthy today.
Yeah, that's because it actually had people that knew talent, just unlike the show Donkey Kong Country.
Hi, I'm Paul.
Oh my god, that freaking monkey.
I remember that. That was a funny monkey. I remember. Yeah, there were so many the characters were great. I remember Jimmy Neutron. I remember Carl. I loved Carl.
Yeah, I can tell. I can tell because you remind me of Cortex.
Hey, Decent, look at this. Speaking of stuff, next Saturday.
Oh yeah,
Jackbox Rumble.
Oh, nice.
We'll be having that this Saturday. Okay, so
yes,
now,
watch it.
So now, Jimmy Neutron. So the show was great. I was actually surprised it only had 3 seasons. I thought it had like 4. But no.
It felt like 6, and 6 good ones at that. Like, it's like, even when the tone shifted later on, I didn't feel any drop in story quality. Everything just felt as out of nowhere, but at the same time as well grounded as it should be.
Well, here's the thing about Jimmy. They never really properly wrapped up the Jimmy and Cindy being in love thing. That's another like that never truly.
Like, they never wrapped it up. Or it's like
they never really had a firm knot on that. Another thing, and also it gave.
I mean, I think it's like, in order for Jimmy and Cindy to have a proper thing, they have to drop the whole Betty Quinlan thing entirely.
Yeah, and they tried to do that in one episode, but let me try and get back to it. It also had other great characters. Everyone knows Jimmy Neutron's dad, Hugh Neutron.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Jimmy.
Right.
The thing with Hugh, though, is that he wasn't that dumb. He was just silly.
Yeah, the thing is, he was.
Yeah,
he was a better idiot dad. Like, he actually felt funny because, like, I forget who voiced him. Like, it was such a long time ago. I binge watched the entire show. I do remember that he was such a.
Google it.
He was so enjoyable, and it also gave birth to one of the other best villains I know, Professor Finbarker. He was voiced by who?
Yeah, Calamitous.
I
think he's the
Mark Carlo.
Yeah, I think he's the most relatable Nick villain ever created. Most
Yeah,
relatable Nick villain.
The Professor Finger Calamity.
Because he couldn't finish
guy
anything, and I often
never
feel
finishes
like that.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
'cause
often feel like that sometimes.
he probably had short-term memory loss, or perhaps like that he could have been like Dory. More on that later. Okay, so
Like I can imagine you can like that, like you just being like, I hate the human Maggie. She offends me to my and everyone else be like, core.
yes! Yeah, so now let's talk about the context of the show. It was 3 seasons, so surprisingly. And the problem began like when they had the Power Hour in the first place, which now we're going to talk about. So basically, with the Power Hour, you have the thing where 2 creators have to fight for quality control. And with that, I think Butch won in the
Wow.
end. And the thing,
Oh, that's why it sucks. I mean, it doesn't suck, but it's like it pales in comparison to the rest of the series.
here's the thing: the first one was great, but honestly, I think the second one was the best because it actually had both the Jimmy Neutron characters and the Fairly Odd Parents characters actually fighting their own one of the own villains, and because
then the third one kind of flew too close to the sun.
yeah, I do. Yeah, honestly, that one. But then the third one was in layman's terms, sort of a letdown. Like they creating your own villain. That's sort of it's a risk because unless you create a good one, you're gonna fuck up. If you're gonna go that route, you gotta create a good one.
Like what pisses me off is that they drop a plot point so quickly and so easily. Like the third one starts with them trying to get to Cindy again. They both get to the house, they find that Cindy's not there. All of a sudden the romance plot point is dropped entirely for just them spending time together in each other's universes. And when she does try and come back in and make herself known, nobody cares.
Yeah, another thing is that I have a feeling that Butch Hartman had almost pretty much, I think like 60% of the thing was in 2D. So I think that Butch Hartman basically had John A. Davis tied up to a rope as he took control of the rest of the episode.
Although they must have worked together at some point, although not very well.
I think John A. Davis was like, I'm tired of making the show. Why don't you finish it, Butch? He's like, yeah, okay.
That's kind of funny because the season 5 of Fairly Odd Parents ended basically the same day as Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah, and that was the original plan, quote unquote, to end both shows with the third Jimmy Timmy Power Hour. And we're gonna talk about how that plan failed after we talk about Butch Hartman's other successful show, Danny Phantom.
Oh. There's actually a fan theory that the universes of Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom are connected. That Jimmy made one final wish, change his life to this.
Yeah, God, Danny Phantom is like a polar opposite of Fairly Odd Parents. Instead of being happy-go-lucky wishing, it's serious tone ghost hunting. And it pulled off.
It's like you have a kid in high school. Most English anime adaptations don't even touch high school.
Remember I was talking about those Hartman hips? This show makes it even more apparent. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that anymore, but you know what I mean. You've seen the characters.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this is that fairies and ghosts are... Like, Butch Hartman in general just seems to have a very good approach to, like, paranormal stuff. Like, he doesn't approach paranormal stuff in general like you'd expect. Like, fairy godmothers in media are usually, like, these intelligent, wise people, but in Fairly Odd Parents, they're just, like, regular people.
Yeah, and the thing about Danny Phantom is that it's a serious show. You can take it serious. It's supposed to be taken seriously. It's supposed to be like.
I can prove that wrong with one character.
What?
Oh.
I am the Black Ghost! Beware!
God,
Yeah, that's
I remember that. Even I remember that, and I didn't even watch the show that much because, taking it a lot, I was kind of scared of it. Back then. I was sort of iffy about the whole possession thing.
yeah, and I just kind of hated serious shows in
Hold
general
over
back in the day, so I didn't really watch Danny Phantom either.
Now let's talk about the show itself. It ran for 3 seasons, but the problem with Danny Phantom is that Butch Hartman wanted the 3rd season. I think he wanted it to be longer, but Nickelodeon said no, and so Butch Hartman had to rush the end, making it feel worse, making the end of the show feel forced and worse than it should have been.
I honestly never got to see the series finale. I think they pushed it to like the early morning time slots on Nicktoons, where the rest of the season was just left to rot. Because most of the episodes I saw growing up were like early season, or like season 1 or 2, probably. I think the
Yeah.
last one I saw was when Danny Phantom finally got his freeze powers.
Yeah, and that was the beginning of season 3. The thing about
Yeah,
thing
it's
about
like there was that, and there was the Infinity Gauntlet. Those are the last 2 I saw.
Yeah, and it was a shame because Butch Hartman could have ended it a lot better, or at least space more episodes out and make more episodes. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and he didn't. And now that I'm getting to that. Okay, so basically, what we're gonna do is, so Butch Hartman, it went from 2004 to 2007, but you want to know what's even more weird than a teenage ghost? A teenage robot.
Yes, My Life as
I
a
like
Teenage
to-
Robot. Like, I love that show, mainly for its art style.
Yeah,
Like,
because-
besides the art style,
Yeah.
there's not really that much to it. It's really just an early 2000s teenish drama, just more cartoonish.
Yeah, it's a manga. It looks
Basically.
like a manga. And Jenny was she was a girl.
Exactly.
She was a girl that I later found out had many scary fan arts of her.
Let's not really talk about
My-
that, and talk about how she's basically a trans metaphor.
Yeah, trans metaphor. So she was. And I also remember there was this kid who always wanted to bang her.
Oh my god, Sheldon.
God.
Oh my god! I mean, it's funny enough. Why is it that every nerd character that wants to bang a robot is named Sheldon now? I mean, look at Big Bang Theory, for God's sakes.
I mean, yeah, you have SpongeBob, you have TixSloth, you have Sheldon. Like, why? That's. Oh my god! I just realized that now. And the thing about My Life as a Teenager, I'm trying to remember how many seasons it ran for. Can someone look that up?
3 seasons. The first 2 aired
Yeah,
on
well,
Nick
like,
in
the
the early
last seasons-
2000s. It
seasons
didn't
went
actually
to
didn't air
Nicktoons.
until 2008 on Nicktoons Network. They kind of just forgot about the show, and then they just dumped it during that year.
Yeah, and the thing about the 3rd season didn't air.
Yeah, the
Like-
3rd season didn't air on Nick in general. They just dumped it on Nicktoons when they forgot it existed and just remembered it existed.
Nicktoons, your animation's going to die.
Here's the thing about My Life as a Teenager. I do remember a few episodes. I remember like a transformation kink. I had another kink, which was body parts falling off and stuff. I remember the episode where someone made a remote and zapped it at Jenny, and Jenny's body parts went flying around the world. I also remember,
I remember that one. I really like that one.
I also remember the last one I remember seeing, or the last one I think I remember they aired on Nickelodeon, was the Christmas special, where some brat got Jenny and kidnapped her as a toy.
Oh yeah, and she destroyed all the holidays.
Now,
Like, honestly, it's the first time I heard the word gay in a Nickelodeon show, honestly.
God, because the gay means happy. People forget that. And people keep forgetting it.
Yeah, it's Christmas Day with next year now we never felt so gay.
I gotta actually look that up. Now that the thing about Jenny is, like, she was an interesting character, But her show did leave something of a mystery. Mystery. How about Martin mystery? Now for now.
Oh
I don't
my
even know what the hell
god.
that episode even.
Martin,
I have no idea what the hell Martin Mystery even is.
Oh, I
It
know
was
what
big-
Martin Mystery.
here's the
Oh,
thing
I know
about-
what it is.
thing about
But I
Martin.
don't like it because of a crossover I had at one point.
Yeah, I do remember. Martin Mystery is basically the cousin of Totally Spies. Totally Spies was put on Cartoon Network, and Martin Mystery is put on Nicktoons. They didn't put it on Nickelodeon directly, but they put it on Nicktoons for some reason.
Yeah,
I-
a purpose Nicktoons is used
That's probably where all
for
the
is
imports
basically.
go.
Yeah, it's where all the import shows go, where Nickelodeon doesn't really expect it to do well here in America, so they just put it on there for
Including
contractual reasons.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Well, I want to tell you a secret. I actually had a phase.
Including
Where,
Yu-Gi-Oh!
I once had a phase where I dressed up as Martin Mystery, and I had to watch the You Watch, and it was the most weirdest
You
part of my first grade year. I remember everyone saying, "Who are you?" I'm saying, "I'm Martin Mystery," and I'm like, "Why? Who's that?" I mean, he's on Nicktoons. Like, what's the, who's that? Like, ugh. And then I got mad
It's
because
like they not even watch television.
yeah. So this was back in first grade. Nick could probably tell you the story better. So the point is, Martin Mystery ran from 2003 to 2000. It ran for 3 seasons, unlike its predecessor, who ran for 5. So
Yeah, didn't Martin Mystery actually end up getting a 1-episode crossover in Totally Spies?
yes, that episode. I know that episode all too well. Who knows? Maybe I'll make a YTP of it. Plot is simple. Totally Spies encounter something they couldn't handle, so Martin Mystery helps them handle it. That's as simple as that.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking
He's not
of,
the only one that wants to handle them.
and here's a trivia fact. Did you know that Martin Mystery was voiced by Samuel Vincent, aka Double D?
Hmm.
And also there was an
Oh,
alien.
and then that wrong episode.
Yeah, and then I also remember there was the alien in the show, Billy, who sounded exactly like Double D. And they didn't hide it.
The
either.
alien in the show actually kind of reminds me of the little green dude from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, and then there was his sister Diana, who was basically
Who?
All
Who?
the-
Piccolo?
no, yeah. Then there's his sister Diana.
Yeah.
You said the
which
green
No,
dude
the
from
younger
Dragon Ball Z.
people.
basically,
Oh, Dende.
what Diana was, she was basically all 3
Yes,
of the
yes.
Totally Spies into one girl. And then there was the caveman, Java, who was Muscle. And that I'm rambling on about the show that's not really even classified as a Nicktoon, but when are we going to talk about this again? Never. Now, speaking of anime-style shows, we got the big, the bad, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Well, it could
I'm
be
gonna
kind
bow
of,
to this
it,
one,
could
I
be-
never
it
saw
kind of is an anime, but even though it's not really made Japan, so
I'm just saying, like, it's the art style is what I'm trying to jab at.
Yeah,
So
the-
let's
the art
talk-
style-
yeah,
let's talk
the thing
ab-
with the Avatar art style is that it tries way too hard to be anime. I get it, it's supposed to be like high fantasy Eastern, but it's way too on the nose.
Well, the thing about Avatar, it was a big deal. I remember
and it
seeing.
deserves to be a big deal.
Here's the
frankly.
thing. It was actually the first serious show I actually watched. I remember watching the entire first season, and I was so immersed. But then they booted it to Nicktoons, and I was never able to get to it again.
Oh yeah, but now you can get Nicktoons for free. Well, technically, you can buy. Wait, this is a sponsor offer. Go get Philo, so you can get all the 3 Nick channels along with T Nick.
Yay.
Oh god. And now that
Actually, that's one thing.
and
Yes.
Avatar, and we're gonna talk about, maybe we'll have an episode on all the live action stuff like sitcoms. But we have to mention.
Well, the thing about Nicktoons in the channel is like they put sitcoms, which doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, let me. Yeah. So basically, we have to mention the movie. If we don't mention the movie about Last Airbender, we're gonna eat ourselves silly out of it. It had a shitty movie. The worst movie.
Yeah, like the worst possible movie it could have had, and I was too dumb to realize it when I saw that thing in theaters.
They literally just crammed the entire first season into one movie.
I'm just
like the
imagining if Nick was here. I
Like,
imagine if
there
Nick was
are
here, he's like,
3D
"Oh, it's good,"
movies.
because Nick's
It's
weird
technically
sometimes.
a 3D movie.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
here's the thing about it, Last Airbender. It's technically a 3D movie. See, there are 3Ds in a 3D movie. There's dignified, like Avatar, distracting, like Spy Kids, and doesn't count. That's Last Airbender.
okay.
It's pretty much, they have 3D effects. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of movies like that. We'll
By the
discuss
way,
that in a future video. Now,
all right, let's talk about 2009, the rise of new
we're not-
Nicktoons.
No, here's the thing, Tonio. I made a list of stuff we're going by. Check the pins.
Hey, it's my show. I made it, so I'm just kidding.
It's just okay. So here's the thing. Okay, next up, we're going back talking about let's grow up, all grown up.
Oh my
All right, let's go
God.
back to the show. I know. I
Oh,
know.
gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know. So we kind of have a long list, but like, we don't care if it's long. We just want
Yeah,
to make
we
this a
don't
good
care.
episode, right?
Right.
Yeah, we're so far we're having a great episode. Let's talk about all grown up. Now, all grown up, I do remember.
My favorite.
It's
It all started with a pitch pilot. I call it a pitch pilot. It was actually a Rugrats special episode. Basically, inspired by the Dr. Spooky movie, they decided to time travel to the future. And that's when All Grown Up happens.
Yeah, like I actually
Yeah,
saw
well-
the pilot, and it was actually a great episode of Rugrats, in my opinion.
yeah, and the thing about
Yeah.
and it was the thing about there's a lot more you can do with the Rugrats when they're teenagers.
Exactly. Although, why do you think they got like 5 seasons?
You can get them more.
Yeah, like you got 5 seasons, but like the only thing about their between the seasons is
Ow.
like they changed the animation style.
Yeah,
Well, not really. Although
It's the same animation style from As Told by Ginger, actually.
yeah, basically
Well,
the Rugrats style, but
see the later
digital.
seasons. Look in the first 2 seasons, like they're way flatter, but in the later seasons they look more.
and the thing about is I don't really remember it being on Nickelodeon that much. Basically because they booted it to Nicktoons really quick.
Yeah. They knew they had to die, but even in Nicktoons, it wouldn't die.
Now, speaking of shows that I think got booted to Nicktoons way too quickly, let's talk about some cats. The scratches they gave me. Oh
Cat
yeah,
Scratch.
Cat Scratch.
Yeah,
Another
Another
show
show
all I
that
know
was
about
Mr.
underrated.
Blake, when you lay down, you let them rage.
oh my god,
Yeah,
the
I-
theme song was actually pretty damn good. And all I really know about Cat Scratch is how Mr. Enter fucking loves it. For some reason.
God. No, we're not gonna
He calls
talk
it
about him.
underrated.
Yeah, Cat Scratch.
Okay, so basically in this episode, so in Cat, I just think it was gone way too soon. I don't even know how many seasons it got. Like, it felt like it only got one. I remember the
Yeah, it only
McDonald's.
lasted for like about 2 years. That's how long it lasted.
I remember the McDonald's toys. That's how I remember Cat Scratch.
They had
They had
McDonald's toys?
McDonald's. Yeah, they had McDonald's toys.
Wow.
Now, the thing about 2 seasons, like I only remember like one season actually being on Nickelodeon, and then it got booted to Nicktoons. And the thing about Cat Scratch is that I think it was gone too soon. Like I remember laughing out loud to Mr. Blink. I remember Mr. Blink. He was so rigid. He reminded me so much of Cat Tug. I also remember Waffle. He was the
Rob
stupid
Paulson was the voice of
Waffle,
the
my
Tabby Cat.
favorite. Speedy!
I also remember Gordon. He was the Scottish one because Scottish people are funny. And now we're going to move on to who's up to see some cows. Let's go to
Back in
Barnyard.
the barnyard.
Yes, male cows with udders, no less.
Let's- Wait, the movie or the series?
We're gonna talk about both. Let's talk about the movie first.
Yeah,
now
the-
the movie.
Wait.
Now the movie
It,
was sort of lackluster in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I remember the movie having a weird voice for Otis, i.e. Kevin James, although he does deserve to be kind of weird, so I'm just gonna call it weird.
God, yeah, I remember.
yeah, it's a perfect voice for him, honestly. And I like the storyline from his dad being like that dude that's about to die, but he's a tough guy and he's training Otis to take his place because he's his son, and it makes sense.
Yeah,
Well, the thing I didn't like about the characters, like they made Otis a cow, even though in real life cows are not male, they're female.
technically Otis would be a
Yeah.
bull if he was an actual
Let's
cow.
not dive into that, please.
Yeah, let's not
Okay.
dive into that.
Now there is one thing that's interesting. Apparently, they changed the names when they turned it into the cartoon. Like, apparently the girl's cow in the movie was name is Daisy, but in the cartoon, her name is Abby.
Yeah.
That's because they're two different characters.
Actually,
I-
I remember loving the cartoon back at the Barnyard.
God, I love the cartoon too. It's so sad that they got
Yeah.
like.
I'll tell you what's even sadder. It's been confirmed in the other show. It's been confirmed through a minor passing that it shares the same cinematic universe as Planet Sheen.
Oh,
I know.
boy.
We're gonna talk about that show later on. So basically, Back in the Barnyard ran for 2 seasons, and honestly, I like to think of it as Jimmy Neutron mixed with Family Guy.
Yeah, and here's the thing about Back at the Barnyard. The jokes were just so fucking good. You can't forget about the freaking viewer mail segments.
I love that. Destroy Farmer.
Yeah,
Aren't
that was
you
fucking
doing the thing
glorious.
at the
My favorite episode is when Otis dressed up like a girl and dated Snotty Boy.
Oh God.
Don't make me think of that. Don't make
And
me
the
think of
thing-
that.
I remember the episode when Pig was dressed as a actual person so he can have a date with this one woman. Anyone remember that episode?
I remember the episode where Pig got possessed by a rabbit.
Oh yes, no, that was my favorite episode. I changed my mind.
I actually
also-
don't remember that episode because when that show got booted to Nicktoons, I never really kept up with the show, so the last couple episodes I don't really know about.
I think that episode was like the last one to air on Nick per se. It was a Halloween special.
Honestly, I love Otis' reaction to the barn being haunted. Well, I'm off to the back. Good luck with everything.
Oh my god, I remember that episode. That was great.
God, I also remember the one where Pig pretended to be Snotty Boy. Also remember.
Oh yes. Okay, now that's not my favorite, but it's up there.
Also, the thing about it's just the. Also, there's a few voice actors in there. There's Pip, who is the voice of Sheen, which we'll get to soon.
Yes.
right? And then we're going. Then apparently there's the voice of Otis, who
They
voice.
changed the voice, but it's a good voice.
Yeah, but then again, that voice also belongs to another Nick character that we're also going to be talking her down around the road. He belongs to someone green and slimy and farts a lot.
Shrek?
No.
Doppy.
The actual slime?
Craig. No, Craig.
Oh my god.
Oh, the snake. Oh,
Okay, so we're gonna be now we're gonna talk about a big one. SpongeBob seasons 4 to 9A.
Get ready
Whoa.
for some rants, baby.
Okay, D-Sim, you go
wait,
first.
there was more after the movie.
Yes, there's
Yeah.
more after the movie, and we're already an hour in, and we haven't even left the 2000s. So, let's do the rant. I actually did not know that Modern SpongeBob was hated until I clicked on a video from a man named Molbro Studios.
Yes, me too.
And I realized that Modern SpongeBob was the most hated thing on Earth, and I was just so fucking pissed off that this shit
So
made sense.
I was
Like, his opinions
screaming
made
in
sense.
agony.
Like, his opinions
Oh my-
fucking made sense, and I don't
It
even know
makes
how to
sense.
freaking...
No,
to
God,
break that
we
shit,
think alike, D-Sim. It's so horrible.
It's really like fucking... That's
Let's
how
see,
you
my
ruin a show for
favorite
someone. That's how you
moment-
ruin a show for someone.
Yeah, and then we got
My
Then we-
favorite moment was who remembers Finchville travels out the globe for a hat? I love the part at the end. He talks about the movie being the last thing they ever made and a perfect percent of the legacy, and then we should never forget it. And then you see season 4. Yes.
Yeah. But back to reviewers. Then me and Tix, basically simultaneously, got introduced to one mysterious Mr. Enter. And he proceeded to fucking destroy our relationship with cartoons for basically the rest of our lives.
Basically, he ruined Nickelodeon for me in a snap, like a Thanos. And also, he ruined rest of TV. He ruined my image on cartoons forever.
Me too!
And then there were other SpongeBob reviewers like.
He makes me smarter when it comes to cartoons. I don't hate them now, but still.
That's the thing.
Well, early season 4 to the last of season 9, they're pretty bad. But like after season 9, it got a little bit better.
Yeah, but we're gonna get to that once we end this episode.
Yeah, here's the thing. SpongeBob season 4 to 9. Like, let's name some horrible episodes. Let's name the episode. We've got
House Fancy.
We got Good House Fancy, Good Neighbors. We got Splinter. We got Atlantis SquarePants. We got Truth or Square. We got Choir Boys. We got.
Like when I first heard that these episodes were hated. When I first heard that these episodes were hated, I was like, these episodes were hated? Like what the fuck? That's my mind.
Here's the thing. I liked those episodes.
Me too. Me too. Jesus Christ.
I loved to love a patty. Like, oh, it's a Krabby Patty. What are you doing with that rotten piece of meat, boy? Now.
I mean, freaking, to love a patty, like, the only reason I'll never forget that episode is because that love song to the Krabby Patty is actually a downloadable track in Rock Band.
Also, the only I can never look at that again because of Mr. Enter.
Yeah, like the thing with Mr. Enter is that he thinks that all of his fucking opinions are correct, and he has the audacity to, at least earlier, fucking have these social media accounts of these writers and basically incite his audience to fucking harass them. Kind of like.
I don't remember that when that happened.
You ruined the clam kicking part of me for that song.
What do you guys think about Pie Guy Rules'?
Pie Guy Rules actually does a better job.
Yeah, Pie Guy Rules is a bit nicer, but his opinions I don't really agree with at all, but at least he's fucking nice about it.
At least and honestly,
I think they teamed up at one point.
He agreed that the worst episode of season 7 was That Sinking Feeling, which is a forgettable episode to say the least.
You know what kind of makes me obnoxious about the later after season 4 through like earlier season 9? It's like the animation, like SpongeBob looked very kind of stupid.
Yeah, here's the thing. After season 5, they originally had to do 20 episodes a season. But once season 6 came, they had to do 26 to match the new episode length. And with that, they had to recycle jokes, recycle plots. They had to do everything physically possible.
Yeah, the Paul Tibbet. During the times when Paul Tibbet ran the show, it wasn't that good when Paul Tibbet ran the show.
Also, Zeus Service.
Yeah, and even the fact that you're basically... Even the fact about how you're judging these episodes, Tix, is... I want to bring this to light. Mr. Enter basically taught the entire fucking internet how to critique cartoons. Like, we all use his fucking terms now.
Yeah, here's the thing. Now, here's what I say. Pointing out your problem doesn't make it go away.
Yeah,
Yes.
And even then, I have, even though I don't really like Mr. Enter at all, I still think like him.
Me too! Make it stop! End me!
Jesus Christ, because he's just so smart.
That can be summed up with another Mr. Enter quote. What I'm doing is wrong. I know it's wrong, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Exactly! Like, how that fucking quote applies to me is just so... prescient.
I wonder if that guy has a Discord.
He does.
We should rate it.
Do I dare link it? May I dare link it?
That's risky. That's kind of risky to do, Tix.
I'm just gonna send it to Tix just to see if he wants to do it.
Don't send it to me. I'll be too tempted to do it. Don't you? I don't want to talk about him. Honestly, now let's say this.
The worst
Seasons
problem.
4 through 9A, even one where SpongeBob got fired for a fucking nickel. Like Cool Cat used to say. That's why I stopped watching Cool Cat. Cool Cat ruined it for me too. Remember Cool Cat?
What do you say?
He did the top 10 problems with modern SpongeBob video.
Yeah, the top 10 problems of modern SpongeBob.
Oh, that Cool Cat. I thought you meant the other.
That was how I really began to,
MPH,
see
I'm
where
gonna be
these people
getting
were
that-
coming from, but I realized... Cool Cat's video was where I started to realize where these people were coming from, so I guess my fucking hatred kind of simmered down a little, to the point where I just don't really care anymore.
Honestly, my
But the
hatred's
trauma's still there.
The trauma's still there, the hatred's still there. Honestly, mine just turned into a bitterness.
What I'll say about season 4 to 9A is like a pattern I didn't notice and didn't realize was irritating me until someone pointed out, namely Mr. Renner, was like how they changed the characters. They just pick a trait of each character and they pretty much amplified it and stuck with it. Like Squidward always got shit on because he was kind of shitting on SpongeBob and positivity in general. But the trait that they kept is that the world is shitting on him. So even when he's having a normal day, the world is shitting on him.
Yeah, you
Then
wanna
there's
know?
Patrick. Like-
Yeah. And also, I always hated having the unpopular opinion about modern SpongeBob. You want to know what's funny? The worst episode I thought from seasons 4 through 9A was Hello Bikini Bottom, which everyone, including Mr. Enter, apparently love.
Jesus Christ, I mean... and
Anyway,
here's the thing, and one last word about Mr. Renter from my end. Like, when I first saw his review of SpongeBob You're Fired, I was so pissed off that I was spamming the dislike button just so it would have an effect. Like, come on, stop listening to this dude!
God, me too! Me too!
Wow.
Like, we had the
Anyway,
exact
back
fucking
to the
experience as Mr. Renter,
characters,
the
like,
exact
back
goddamn
then.
same experience, and it's kind of creepy.
God, we make
Yeah.
it team, me and you, I know. Okay, we'll talk now.
Anyway, back to the characters. I was talking about like them changing their characters up. Mr. Krabs, he loved money in the earlier seasons, but he still cared about his family, his business, his friends, and all that shit. But in seasons 4 to 9A, all about the money, money, money. What else? Patrick.
Patrick
was-
is a prick.
Patrick was-
Patrick is a prick. Patrick is a prick.
Yes.
That term.
Yeah, that's the short version of it. In the early seasons, he was stupid. He was really stupid, and when he did really bad things, it wasn't out of genuine maliciousness. It was because he was stupid. But in seasons 4 to 9A, it was just because he was pretty much, I'm gonna say, smarter than Trump, but still just as mean.
Diary
And
diary reader.
no better example of Patrick being bad. The card, like, it pretty much changes your entire perspective on Patrick. The card.
SpongeBob, you can't always expect my normal brand of stupidity. Like to mix it up, keep you on your toes. Also,
Yeah.
I remember.
Exactly.
I remember hating the smooth jazz at Bikini Bottom. Oh no, you don't, Patrick. Don't eat my backstage pass. Tommy want more. I like 2 sides.
And then SpongeBob was like, "Here, Squidward, you can have my backstage pat." And then Patrick eats that too.
Yeah, and then I remember the one where. Oh, who could forget Mr. Enter's big upset? Pet Sitter Pat.
What was it?
Me.
Oh, that shit. Like, yeah, like.
I remember just you and me, Fred. SpongeBob's got to work on your handwriting. Okay, I'm gonna quote a bunch of Patrick quotes. Geez, Gary, if you want another bath, you should have just asked. Snail food. Geez, Gary, the bath is gonna come to you. I thought it was cold. Now, here's the thing. That's not the worst thing about Nick.
Okay.
The worst, before we talk about the worst thing, let's talk about something good that Nick actually made as a decision. Decent, we're coming back here.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Ready.
All right.
Where is Decent? Where'd he go? Did we scare him off?
What?
Oh,
No. Where's
okay.
Decent?
Let's talk. Okay, so now we're gonna wait on him because we can't continue the rest of this without. So the next thing we're gonna talk about is the DreamWorks shows.
Yes, Penguins of Madagascar.
Penguins of Madagascar, Kung Fu
Oh
Panda,
yes.
and Monsters vs. Aliens. So let's talk about Penguins.
I only know penguins.
Yeah, God. Penguins.
Kowalski analysis.
It appears, Skipper, that we're in a YRC SmackDown episode. Now, Excellente.
Okay. Rico's like, yeah.
What? We're in a SmackDown episode?
I don't like smacking down. I am a posh British gentleman. I like unicorns.
Oh, you can't have a SmackDown episode without King Julian. King Julian, you need to step down.
I like SmackDown.
Okay, Sim, are you coming back to us? I think all the Mr. Ender talk stunned him because he's not falling out.
Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Maybe if I try to use some corporate panding. Red Robin.
Okay, I gotta do something he hates. Hey, Jason, we want to hear about the time.
Don't do something he hates.
We want to hear about the time where I what's the word? The time where I got a stutter. Oh yeah, we're still live.
Yeah, I got a better idea. I know what'll get him. This will get anybody that knows this. Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle.
Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. I know what'll. Come on. Someone ping him.
I don't know what this is. Sometimes happens to Decent. He's always like. Sometimes I don't know where he's at, but like he's always his mic is on and all, but like.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so Penguins.
Yeah, maybe if he can hear us, maybe we can try remotely connecting to his PC.
Okay, Penguins was the greatest show ever. It was revolutionary for the DreamWorks company. I remember loving it when it first came out because I loved Madagascar 1 and 2. Just like a lot of people. So
well, it's kind of weird that how Rico had no spiky hair in the first 2 movies, but later he had spiky hair.
Yeah. No, it's his hair, but yeah, Penguins was a great show. It honestly ran a lot longer than most things. That's because the only issue was it only aired once a week. They only had a time slot for it once a week. They wouldn't let it run rampant like SpongeBob. Now, the thing about Penguins is simple. It was fun. It was really, really fun.
I actually own a DVD of one of their DVDs, Operation DVD.
Yeah.
I owned it. I still have it, but it's somewhere, I don't know, in bad condition.
And it ran for 3 seasons, but the sad part is the 3rd season, half of it didn't really air on regular Nickelodeon. It aired on Nicktoons, which is a sign.
Nicktoons again.
Yeah, this is going to be a recurring theme, everyone. Now, because it aired on the 30s and aired on Nicktoons, there must have been a successor to this, right? Of course there was. Kung Fu Panda: Legends of Awesomeness. I love that show.
It automatically gets less points. It's cool, but it gets less points from me because they didn't keep Jack Black. Jack Black is the true panda, and I will accept no substitutes.
Well, it's because he can't do it because he had a busy schedule. That's why he couldn't do the voice. All of the voice actors too.
Well,
it's like Jack Black was the panda in the movies, but they changed him out for the TV show.
Oh yeah, because that usually happens when it comes to like shows based on TV movies. Like look at the Penguins of Madagascar. Or they had Sacha Baron Cohen for King Julian. It had his backup, Daniel Jacobs.
Well, honest, Danny Jacobs actually does a great King Julian. In fact, he got his own spin-off on Netflix.
And he became the permanent voice of King Julian because Sasha
Yeah.
didn't want to do the voice anymore.
Another thing about now Kung Fu Panda, actually the only voice actors I remember coming back from the movie was Mr. Ping, James
And
Hong,
Viper's voice.
yeah, Lucy Liu, because they didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah, so basically
No.
that's the only time they ever got the actual some of the actors of the actual film.
Getting new headphones. Okay, so basically with Kung Fu Panda, they had 3 seasons, but the sad part is that the 3rd season didn't finish on Nicktoons. They got rid of it just around the 10th episode and put it on Nicktoons again. Now, here's a show that surprisingly was the worst of the group. This is a show that didn't really need a spin. This is a movie that didn't really need a show in the first place. Monsters vs. Aliens. Now, the
Wow,
thing
I
about
missed a
I'm out.
lot.
yeah, you missed Penguins and Kung Fu Panda, DSM.
Yeah, here I'll give my quick thoughts about Penguins. Penguins was pretty good for the first couple seasons, but then it went, eh. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and now Kung Fu Panda. You have any thoughts on that?
Not really.
Okay, now we're on Monsters vs. Aliens. Basically, with that show, it was proof that DreamWorks just didn't want to be on Nickelodeon anymore. They just made a half-assed attempt at making one of their mediocre movies into a show. Which, Monsters vs. Aliens, it didn't need a show. What it really needed was a sequel. Because, like, I think a sequel would have done it more justice than a TV show. And they didn't really do anything with the 3D animation either. It looked a little bit lazy. Also, it gave us the. Also, they had many episodes revolved around Ginormica's ass. And Bob. Who could forget Bob? Fucking slimy blue blob with one eyeball. That was Bob. And that was it. And the show wasn't about fighting aliens in the sky. It was basically a slice of life show with aliens and monsters. They had Jeff Bennett voice an alien because Jeff Bennett is Jeff Bennett.
My lord, Jeff Bennett.
And then they had a cutesy alien. Then they had a MILF alien with a gigantic alien dog. Now here's the thing about Monster vs. It only got to show like 13 episodes, and then it got booted to Nicktoons for the other 13. That's how bad it was. And even then, the show was incredibly lackluster, and it didn't even end properly. It didn't even have a concrete ending. That's how bad it was. Now, we're not done. Before we talk about bad stuff, or mediocre, we should call it. It's not all bad, or not all completely bad. Let's talk about a good show that many people forgot about. You ever feel like going to Mexico? Let's go with El Tigre.
Oh boy,
Yes,
LT
I mean,
Gray.
see,
God damn, I remember this.
Yeah, I remember LT Gray as well. I mean, I thought it was a pretty funny show, and here's something I have to say about it. Sorry
Yes.
to talk about Mr. Ensor, but his Nicorama video, he said that El Tigre was quote-unquote stereotypical. Like, imagine being Jorge Gutierrez and hearing that. Like, the thing with Jorge is that he's actually a straight-up immigrant, and he actually thinks that, you know, it's important to teach kids about Mexican culture and stuff, and just imagine hearing that El Tigre is stereotypical. Damn.
Honestly.
oh my god. That'd be like if someone said YRC Raw and SmackDown are stereotypes of white YouTubers.
Oh, no. Now, here's the thing about El Tigre. I remember its art style was great.
Yeah, like, It's my second favorite
Yeah.
art style for a cartoon alongside Teenage Robot. It's my second favorite.
Honestly, I think they have
Art
similar
style.
characters. Yeah, I also remember that it's another work of Gray Lazerial, or Gray, the girl who voiced Vicky.
Gray Delisle, Frida. Yeah, like, I love her voice for Frida, man.
Honestly, Gray Delisle voiced so many characters we
I
knew.
love her theme voice.
I think she voiced Sam. I think she voiced someone in Cat's Rats. Also, she voiced so many people in all the shows we've listed so far that it's almost criminal not to mention her now. And honestly, it just feels like the show could have gone on longer. I just think that it was a victim of not meeting the SpongeBob quota. It just. But the only thing I can say is, at least it ended well. You want to know how it ended?
Yeah,
ended,
I love the ending.
yeah, and they went to the land of the dead. Which basically, when I first saw Coco in the
Wait, no, that was the last episode?
yeah, that's the last.
Like, I thought the best episode. I like to think it ended best with the good, bad, and Tigre.
Yeah, because, like, here's the thing with the ending. Did you know that Nick actually did a poll for if El Tigre were to go bad or good?
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's the episode I'm talking about.
Maybe it's.
Like, basically, throughout the entire series, he's been struggling with morality because his dad and grandfather raised him two different ways. And this is where it all comes to a head. He sneaks into the competition, kicks ass, and finally gets to come to terms with whether he wants to be good or evil or not.
Oh yeah.
Just imagine how El Tigre would have handled the trolley problem.
Oh yeah, I remember that, but I do remember fondly the episode. I remember vividly the episode where El Tigre and Frigga got sent to the land of the dead, and they had to get out of there.
Oh yeah, Mantos, yes.
I do. You want to know why? Because like, when I watched Disney Pixar's Coco, that episode was all I could think about. Because literally, the movie's about a land of the dead, and that's why it's so dark. Now, let's. Yeah, I also remember Frida swallowing a bird, and also. So now we've talked about another good one. Now we're gonna talk to a cartoon that's fan base is completely divided on whether it's good or heinously awful. Fanboy and Chum Chum.
Oh my god, Fanboy
Oh,
and Chum Chum.
boy.
I actually remember kind of liking that show.
I loved that show. I don't know why.
I just
It's
give my
like-
regrets
it's a
on watching that
complete
show
hodgepodge,
now.
and it's like if I need to shut off my brain, it's a perfect show to do it to.
Yeah, and it feels like I like to simplify it as I think if it's like if Ren and Stimpy and Jimmy Neutron had a baby.
Well, the thing is that it got picked.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows the story about how Fanboy Chum Chum got its greenlit because they Nickelodeon picked it over.
Adventure Time, yeah, I'll give you the cliff notes. Random cartoons, a bunch of cartoons. Adventure Time, Fanboy, two of the cartoons. Adventure Time got snubbed. Fanboy got picked up instead.
Yeah, and here's the thing about that.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you look at it that way, it's easy to see the fan inferiority. But if you look at it another way, it can be a different ball game. The thing about Fanboy and Chum Chum is simple. It can be anything. Like you can't just judge it by one simple word. You have to. The thing, because like the first initial thing. Oh, it's gonna be a gross out show, but no, it's not all gross out.
Why would it be gross out at CG? Like, you can't really do spit that well in CG.
I know, and they realized that at the beginning. They tried to do gross out, and they realized it didn't turn out well. So they tried doing. Then and the characters were nice. Like I remember Boog, the guy who always was at the gaming machine, the Chimp Chomp. He was so.
Yeah.
I also remember.
There's Boog, there's Oz, there's Michael Johnson.
Yeah, I also remember Manartica.
Oh yeah, like yeah, he flies around the world, delivers toys to all the good children.
I also remember Kyle.
Oh my god, Kyle, the ultimate
Yeah.
member of the wizard. Oh my god, I did it again.
Oh god, no!
Uh,
Oh my god!
The wi-
Get the hose! Get the hose!
He's having a seizure. We gotta fix that. Okay, so basically, the show went on for
Anyway,
honestly, the show went on for 2 seasons, which I think is too little. They should have done more. I do
there
remember.
needs to be a video game adaptation of Chim Cham.
although that already exists, Donkey Kong.
And also, Chum Chum was voiced by Nika
I
Futterman.
don't think so.
Chum Chum was voiced by Nika Futterman. And Nika Futterman, she voiced Styx
My-
in Sonic Boom, and also we're gonna remember her from another cartoon we're gonna talk about very soon. Now, my
favorite running joke. I'm gonna just quickly reference my favorite running joke here because it's really funny. When Chum Chum goes to play Chim Chom, player 1 begin, and bloop, you lose.
That's kinda funny.
I also remember the running joke with Janitor Cupertine. I also remember
My favorite episode though has to be the one where Fanboy doesn't have his brain.
Yeah.
No.
Narwhal.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I
That's
remember
kinda funny.
the only Fanboy Punch Up episode I kind of like is when they try to buy the little slushies, but Chum Chum spends all his money on the Chim Chom machine.
Yeah, that was the first episode.
Yeah, it's just like the first episode, like
Oh, the
Primary
Frosty
Junction. I
Freezy
call
Freeze.
it
I want a
underrated.
Frosty
It's such
Freezy
an
Freeze.
underrated show.
Yeah. But honestly, D-Sam, Kyle wasn't the most abused character. That was Lenny.
Oh my
I-
god, Lenny.
I feel bad for Lenny.
Yeah, let me say a quote. We want to spend $1 a day, every day, with our best friend Lenny. Oh.
My second favorite episode is the one where Fanboy and Chum Chum become vampires.
Yeah, I remember that. Like,
I made the goofy had it all day. All I wanted to do was play video games and drink the Frosty Freezy Freeze.
I couldn't stop talking.
And I couldn't stop passing gas.
Sorry, I missed that last part. God, I can't believe it. Oh my god, we're still talking. Okay, so by the line, the Family Chum Chum show didn't feel complete. I feel like it should have lasted longer than it did. Now, here's one thing:
It should have gone forever.
Yeah, here's the thing. At least Fanboy and Chum Chum had an original show idea as a CG animated show, but our next show did not. Planet Sheen! Planet Sheen!
Yeah, here's my thoughts on
I
Planet Sheen.
can't
I kinda like
talk
the
about
first
this
couple
without throwing
episodes,
up.
but
I'm
then
gonna
you realize it's fucking stupid.
Yeah, here's the thing about Planet Sheen. There are many alternatives they could have took in creating the show. How about the biggest alternative? You shouldn't have put Sheen as the main character. You know what I think should have been a better show? Imagine this. Planet Cindy.
Of course you do, because you're the one who wants to have a Sandy SpongeBob spin-off. It only makes sense that you'd have a Cindy spin-off.
Well, it just feels like,
Now, I'd say you want a more interesting spin-off, Libby. Like, have Libby end up on another planet and have her teach funk to all the alien inhabitants.
yeah.
What
That's
about
actually a really good
Coral?
idea. That's actually a really good idea. Carl...
What about Coral spin-off?
A Carl spin-off wouldn't really work because he's meant to be a side character. A Libby spin-off, though, that would be great.
Honestly, the thing about Planet Libby actually sounds a lot better. If you really think about it, like... And honestly, if you really wanted to have a Sheen clone, why don't you make a Sheen clone instead of a Carl clone? If you really need to... Like, if you...
I mean,
Also,
heck, Libby did get her own episode of Jimmy Neutron, so it makes sense for her to have a spin-off show.
then again, her episode of Jimmy Neutron was literally her framing her friends on the news.
Oh wait, no, she had multiple actually. What my favorite one was where it turned out she was a descendant of the queen. How's about to slap ya?
Oh God, I love that. That's where they changed her look for the show. I
Yeah,
remember that.
they changed her look and they made her a plot character, and then they added her to the intro in those later seasons.
God, I thought I was the only one who did that. So basically, when I think of Planet Sheen, I think it only ran for one season. I binged watched the entire 26 episodes of it.
I did like by then 2013, like early 2013. Nicktoons announced that they're gonna do a couple new episodes of Planet Show. Like what? It's still on?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
totally forgot about it.
Here's the thing.
During that
only
time.
lasted 26. Want to know how it ended? It ended with a 22-minute episode of Sheen looking for a banana for his monkey.
Oof, like, I always thought the last episode would be him getting back on Earth.
For not killing Sheen.
And we see
No.
Jimmy.
Yeah, honestly, I was hoping for that. I was hoping, like, oh, he's going to get the banana in the first half. Then they're going to get home in the second half. But then I realized, no, they're still going through the desert trying to get the banana.
Maybe because they didn't really get
Honestly,
to
the
finish it,
monkey
but
was
it's
fine,
Planet Sheen. Like, why
Planet
would you care
Sheen.
if they finished Planet Sheen?
Honestly, it just... I swear, I've seen fanfics that were better than Planet Sheen. Now,
Friggin',
here
it's
we
like the
go.
monkey's smart enough to know that Sheen's worthless. Why not just off Sheen while you had the chance? I want to spank his monkey.
Now, speaking of monkeys, I'm going to go out of order just for once. I'm going to talk about another space show, Rocket Monkeys.
Never heard of it.
Rocket Monkeys was basically another Canadian cartoon booted onto Nickelodeon for testing purposes. Literally, because they're monkeys in a rocket in space. Basically, that show was simply Fanboy and Chum Chum, but except they're monkeys in a rocket, and they have a robot that looks like a video game, and they travel in space, and the animation's 2D instead of 3D. I also remember because that's what you need. Also, one of the monkeys is voiced by Eric Bauza, which I'm going to get to in another show that we're going to be talking about very soon. But the thing is, the situation is simple. Rocket Monkeys went on for one season, then they got rid of it. Now, with Rocket Monkeys, they actually had a second season, but it wasn't released on any network. The people uploaded it on YouTube, and it was only 13 episodes. And that's the gist of Rocket Monkeys. If you've seen Fanboy and Chum Chum, or if you've seen SpongeBob, like later SpongeBob, like season 6 SpongeBob, or what I mean, you'll know what Rocket Monkeys is. And that's pretty much the gist of it. Now we're going to talk about something else. Want to know what's interesting? We're going to talk about what I think, in my opinion, is the most underrated thing on this list. He's a tough puppy, he's a tough puppy.
Yeah, about Tough Puppy, in my opinion, the first few seasons were actually pretty good. They were up there with about season 5 Fairly Odd Parents. It was actually up there, but then again, it kind of spiraled out of control during the later seasons.
Here's the thing, it only has
I
3...
think Jerry.
Let me explain. The thing about Tough Puppy is that, like, I think it was criminally underrated. Honestly, here's what I think should have happened. Fairly Odd Parents should have ended when Tough Puppy first aired. I don't care what it was, you end it, and then they should have focused. Butch Hartman should have put all his eggs into that. And because Jerry Trainer actually...
Oh my god, I just thought
Jerry Trainer makes a great main character.
Yeah, because Jerry Trainer's voice is just so perfect for the role. I'm convinced that Tough Puppy was created just to have Jerry Trainer.
Yeah, and another thing about Tough Puppy is like, I remember we had a conversation once about DC about if I was scared if McFarlane and Butch and Hartman had a furry show, and you showed me something about that. I think Tough Puppy would have, is basically Butch Hartman's furry show.
Yeah,
Honestly,
although
Tough
Zoommates would have been
Puppy,
a
like,
worse idea, to be
I'm
honest.
And honestly, just the thing about Tough Puppy is that like
Zoommates would have been...
it's not a bit. It's actually a good show. The issue is that it didn't get the praise and recognition that I think it deserved because
Like,
Erdidur
if it wasn't
because Fairly
I'll
Odd
be
Parents.
honest.
What do you be honest?
I'll be
about?
honest. If it wasn't for Jerry Trainer, Tough Puppy would have suffered the same fate as Crash Nebula. Remember that pilot?
Oh God!
Yeah, I remember that. That was an episode of Fairly Odd Parents that was supposed to be a backroll pilot.
Yeah.
It was solely, and it was an episode of Fairly Odd Parents in name only. Like Fairly Odd Parents was a framing device, but the whole thing was freaking Crash Nebula, the pilot. Basically, Timmy's excited about the Crash Nebula movie. The movie plays, which is the pilot. It ends. Timmy talks about how awesome it is. It's sad he missed it, and then tortures his fairy godparents some more.
Oof.
Yeah, God, I remember that. I was so weirded out when they aired that a few times. The thing, and also we got Ray Gray is once again voicing Kitty Catswell.
Oh boy, Gray's voice
Right.
for Kitty Catswell. That's actually
One more
pretty...
thing about
Okay.
the Crash Nebula pilot, if it was a framing device, it would have worked.
I swear there was some when I was talking about it with my friends, and they're like, "Why is Vicky voicing a cat?"
What?
It's just that she's such
She's a pussy.
God, and like, which is funny because they actually had an episode later in the seasons where they did a Tom and Jerry parody, and Vicky was a cat. Damn it.
Yes.
Okay,
Because
so about
because Poof can't stop watching cartoons, we can shut up now.
now, Tough Puppy was basically it ran for 3 seasons. The thing is, first season was 26 episodes, second season was 26 episodes, but the third season was only 8, and it didn't end well. And here's a fun.
Didn't the third season end with a CG pilot?
Yeah, God, yeah. Apparently, Tough Puppy was originally planned to be a CG show.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, apparently it was originally supposed to be a CG show, but let's just say that Planet Sheen took that thunder away.
Honestly, like, Planet Sheen ruined CG shows for a good long time. And how much you want to bet that, like, I don't even know how good Butch Hartman is with CG, but I'm almost imagining, like, if they did a CG Tough Puppy for, like, more episodes, it would eventually dip to the quality of Rhapsody Street Kids, probably.
God, I could see that. Here's the thing, and honestly, I watched. That was the final episode, but the thing is, it looked ugly. Ugly. They looked. The faces, the lips didn't even look like natural. Now, here's the thing about the new. Now, honestly, I would have loved to see Tough Puppy ran for more seasons, but Herdidur, Fairly Odd Parents still exists. Now that we've gone over Tough Puppy and the sad fate it had, let's talk about another show that had an even sadder fate. Robot and Monster.
Oh boy, robots.
I only
and
remember the episode where
Monster.
the robot got robies or the moment he couldn't pay the bill.
Yeah, here's the thing. That only lasted 6 months. Actually, no, it only lasted 5 months. Because it only ran from August of 2012 to December of 2012. The problem with that show is twofold. One, the thing is, its CG isn't bad, but it is a little stiffer than others. Also, the show takes a note out of basically Robot is basically Squidward, who always gets bullied all the time, and Monster is basically SpongeBob, except that both of them are apparently a couple, and everyone hurts Robot.
What?
What?
That's just my headcanon. Also, it's full of bacon.
They're a couple? Like, no, the argument material said buddies. They're buddies. It says in the
No.
material, buddies, bacon, boom. Not bud buddies, bacon, boom.
I know. Basically, the thing about in just the show just seemed like nothing special. It was boring because it's basically abuse. They took abuse from Family Guy, abuse from SpongeBob. They took the CG from Jimmy Neutron and Fanboy and Chum Chum smash that CGI and then drool it into a lesser CGI. And basically that was the show. And every episode has the delightful sounds of screaming and clanging metal. Now, speaking of CG, let's go to a much better CG series. One of the best I've known on Nickelodeon. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2012.
Oh,
Now,
boy.
this thing
I
was
don't really have much to say about TMNT 2012, so I'm gonna mute for now.
Okay, my turn.
Didn't
Basically,
they have that crossover episode with the 87 Turtles?
yeah, that was a great episode. It's so
Yeah,
many
that's
great
the only thing I know about it, and I love that.
I always loved the mutations in the show. Like, it was so creative. It's amazing what 3D animation can do that 2D animation can't. I also liked.
Yeah, it's more respectful. It's a more respectful representation of the 87 Turtles than the 2003 Turtles did.
Another thing is that it really felt like the characters actually felt a little bit more vivid. Also, it's nice to see that it's also interesting that Rob Paulson went from voicing Raphael to voicing Donatello, and that Beast Boy basically voices Michelangelo. And
Yeah,
also,
and they brought it back. Yeah. This show was created with the 87 show in mind. It has the same vibe. Everyone's a big fan. They know what they're doing. They're doing loving tributes. And that crossover episode, the best damn thing in all of Turtles.
I still remember Krang Subprime being voiced by Gilbert Godfrey. I love that.
Yeah, you remember when Subprime met Krang?
Yeah, I remember. You Dingleberry! God, I also remember. Yeah,
Welcome.
I remember that was yeah. Then there was all the villains. I remember Shredder was always so menacing. God, I remember when my early stuffed animal shows were based off of TMNT 2012. I remember that. I also remember Baxter Stockman. I loved him.
Mm.
I remember him. He was the best fly. I remember some of the ending episodes. Like I remember when Baxter Stockman was taking care of Shredder as trying to before he became Super Shredder. I want the more mutagen now, Stockman. As your nurse and your health, I rise against it. No. Okay, and who cares about the same round? Okay, bottom line. Show ran for 4 seasons. Its trailing spin-off ran for Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Wasted my fucking time. Almost ruined it for me. Now, speaking of spin-offs, we're going to our next topic. Let's go to The Legend of Korra.
Oh boy, Korra.
It's no Avatar, but
God, there's been so many fanfics of Korra. God, I can't. I try to search up things on DeviantArt for reasons.
And here's one thing about the Legend of Korra fanfiction. Here's an interesting story. Did you know that Legend of Korra fanfiction was so rife on Nickelodeon's message boards that they actually had to make a fanfiction checkboard to check for inappropriate content?
Oh God, no! Oh good, yeah, because they made Korra hot. Korra was really hot.
No disagreements there.
God, she was so thick.
Not really thick, but more tit.
Yeah, a lot of tits. Okay, the thing about Legend of Korra is that also it spiked lesbianism in cartoons for some fucking reason. Because that's all that everyone talked about when the show was over.
Oh boy, like, just imagine when we get to Loud House and Harold and Howard.
Don't worry, we're gonna get there soon. But here's the thing: do you have anything you need to say about Legend of Korra? I only mention it because I
know they say that it's just a spin-off of Avatar. Just basically that.
Like my weird story is all I'm gonna say about Korra.
Now, Korra got booted to Nicktoons, and actually got an online release. Now, okay, guys, we're gonna start getting into the bad stuff. Let's talk about a dynamic duo. And no, I'm not talking about Batman. I'm talking about Sunday and Craig. What they get to is insane. Sunday and Craig with that.
I only watched a couple episodes, and don't even get me started on Far Baby.
Yeah, like, Sanjay and Craig was when I really started to figure out that Nick was going downhill.
Now, let me talk about Sanjay and Craig from a retrospective, since I actually saw almost every episode, all 3 seasons.
God bless you.
But let me talk about something. Now, here's the thing. Sanjay and Craig, it tries very hard to be gross-like, because that's the main point of the show. But later down the line, it kind of fails, because, like, the grossness in the show isn't really as effective as, as Ren and Stimpy. Because, let me put it this way. The animation style they have does not work in their favor for gross out, because it was an animation style that was made from, basically, I think one of the creators was from Bob's Burgers, or came from that type of people.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to know, here's my, it came at 3 seasons, but the thing is, the animation style, you want to know who else pulls off that animation style better than Sanjay and Craig ever could? Home, The Adventures of Tip and O on Netflix. That does the same animator, and they pull off all the freaky stuff that Sanjay and Craig does, and actually makes it look good. Because it's DreamWorks. And because and the funny thing is that Home is one of the more mediocre movies, and they actually made it watchable. The concept of that movie watchable. So it proves that Sanjay and Craig was not only a failure on Nick's part, but could be done better by Netflix and DreamWorks. And also, here's the fun thing. You notice, speaking of Sanjay and Craig not being gross near the end, they actually get rid of the gross towards the end. They actually try to focus on trends. You know how Rocket Power liked to focus on trends in the 90s? Well, Sanjay and Craig like to focus on trends of now. Like, they did all these viral video stuff. They did so many things related to the internet that it, like, is this the same show? Is this the same show? Is this the same gross? I came to...
Yeah,
did it become breadwinners?
Yeah, this is what I mean when Sanjay and Craig was the first sign that Nick was just going downhill for me.
Now, here's the... Sanjay and Craig, like, the sad thing is it didn't stick to his gross out stuff. It didn't stick to it. And instead went on a tangent. And just added gross things here and there. But if you're gonna have
about the thing Dee said about the internet thing, the sign up being going downhill. I know we're not doing live action shows, but I would like to briefly mention the time they produced React to That. It's pretty much the Fine Bro shit, except on Nick.
God damn, no!
Oh, come on.
We're gonna talk about that in a sitcom episode. Trust me, we're gonna make a sitcom, a kid sitcom episode. Right, Tonio?
Depends.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
depends.
so now we're going from... Let's talk about another time where Nick made an adaptation for video games. Let's talk about the Raving Rabbids, or the Rabbids in video.
Oh god, please don't mention. Oh.
God, what's good?
Can we skip this?
Yeah, let's skip this one.
No, I'm
Rabbits,
just-
it
Let's
was
go to
real.
breadwinners. Booties.
No. I'm just gonna mention it in rabbit terms. Wah 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 wah. Okay, that's good.
Alright, let's talk
Alright.
about booties.
That's the whole show. Okay, let's go with the breadwinners. Buckle up, duckies, because we're in that rocket van.
Booty,
Fucking
booty.
around the show as big as we can.
Oh no.
Breadwinners was when I realized that Nick was just awful at that point. That was when I realized, that's it, fuck this, I'm done with this network.
Here's the thing about breadwinners, it's like, it's fun, it's awful, but for me, it seems like an awful and an ironic way. Like, I feel like they were trying to make something that would appeal to kids who like to watch animations on the internet, by grabbing an animation off the internet. But in practice, it just does not appeal. It like they're good.
Oh my god.
You want to know about the voice? Eric, like I said, Eric Bauza voices Badoosh, and someone named Robbie Damien voices Sway Sway. Now, you want to know what else Robbie Damien voiced? He voiced Hubert in Fire Emblem Three Houses, which is one of the most serious games you can think of on the Nintendo Switch. And he voices the edgy dark.
I'm only thankful that Nickelodeon did what they did with Breadwinners at the time that they did it. Because if they took that concept of grabbing animation off the internet and did it earlier, we would have had a show based on "We Like the Moon." Do 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 do, 'cause it is close to us. That's I don't know if anyone remembers that, but that was the thing.
Just wait until we get to the fucking babe. Just wait until we get to the fact that Baby Shark has a show on Nick now. Baby Shark.
Now oh god, no. Here's the thing.
Nick Jr.
Breadwinners lasted for 2 seasons. Like both were 20-episode seasons. And the thing about Breadwinners is it actually, believe it or not, unlike Planet Sheen, it actually ended properly. Did you know that? It actually ended properly. You want to know how it ended?
How?
Basically, the episode was called Freaky Finger Bread, where basically a mutant bread gets vengeance on the breadwinners and they toss them off a bridge. And they think they're dead, but then they just swim off into the moonlight, and then it just says the end. So it's fun. So they fake their death, basically. So what happened? So it gives you a comparison that it's the show. If Breadwinners could end properly, why didn't Planet Sheen end properly? Why didn't Sanjay and Craig end properly? Why didn't?
You want an answer to that? You want an answer to that? It's the same reason that Angry Beavers didn't end properly. Nickelodeon has a rule where if you produce a final episode, it cannot at all allude to being a final episode.
Yeah, well, for some reason, Breadwinners actually did that.
Yeah, it's
probably because they wanted to get rid of that shit heap as fast as possible.
It's mainly because of the internet, because people know these days, even kids know that shows eventually end. Well, they didn't in the 90s.
Okay, so here's the... Now we're going to talk about something more tedious than Breadwinners. Fairly Odd Parents, season 6 through 8.
Oh boy, we're going back a bit. I actually thought Poof was decent.
Is that the baby?
No, the thing is, I liked Poof, but the thing is, some of the episodes he starred in kind of flatlined because, he works, but at the same time, he doesn't work. The thing about it is that, the writing got lazier. Believe it or not, do you want to know a funny thing?
What?
In season 6, Fairly Odd Parents acquired the writers from Coconut Fred.
Oh boy! I actually found that out. Ray DeLaurentis. He got from Coconut Fred to
Will Squarefin and Kevin Sullivan. Yeah. So basically, that spells good reason of how random Coconut Fred is, not how random Fairly Odd Parents get. And there were so many bad episodes. There were episodes that just didn't click, episodes that didn't feel right. Remember the episodes where Poof turned Timmy into a fly? I remember that episode. That didn't really click with me. Also remember an episode where Timmy tried to use Cupid's arrows to get Trixie to fall in love with him.
Get Trixie in love with him? Okay. Ignoring for a moment, how the whole Cupid thing works, why is he still after Trixie? I thought he would have learned at this point after, wasn't there an episode where him and Trixie were the last 2 people on Earth besides Fairy Godparents, and Trixie became a fucking psycho host beast? I thought that would have been a major turnoff after that.
Well, the reset button. Here's the thing about, and then there's the episode that should have been the finale, but didn't. Wishology.
Oh boy, I actually
Oh,
remember fucking loving
the
those
only
episodes.
one I remember, like the only Wishology part I remember vividly is the first one because it had Kiss, and I'm surprised they got Kiss.
Well, Nickelodeon has money.
They do have money.
Now, but then again,
Like,
none of them was of.
I mean, they have money, but did they have Kiss money? So when did they have Kiss money?
I've said this once and I'll say it again. Nickelodeon should have ended it at Wishology, but no, they had other specials in mind in season 8. In fact, season 8 was nothing but specials. We had Invasion of the Dads. We had we had Meet the Odd Parents, where Timmy's parents meet his odd parents, breaking the rules.
Actually, you know what? You want to talk about specials that should have been finales? The Grow Up Timmy Turner trilogy.
The trilogy. Oh
yeah,
God!
let's not
no!
even talk about that. Let's not even talk about that.
We're not gonna mention that. We're not gonna mention that yet. But here's the thing: those two movies, they shouldn't have existed. Drake Bell makes a horrible Timmy Turner. I know Drake Bell was a brat, but we're gonna talk about that in the sitcom episode because trust me,
There's three, not two. There's three.
I know there are three. I've seen Fairly Odd Summer, and honestly, oh, that reminds me. Before we go on, we have to talk about Foop. Another Eric Bauza person.
We got. Like, honestly, Foop. The later seasons were a clusterfuck of characters. You got Poof, you got Foop, you got Sparky.
We're not talking about Sparky yet. We're not at that point yet. So Foop was basically Stewie Griffin in Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah, and if Stewie Griffin were an actual, character and not a joke.
Yeah, and the thing about Foop is that he's one note. The problem with Foop, I think, is he should have been accompanied with the rest of the anti-fairies because he's an anti-fairy. But no, they wanted him to be a solo villain, which does not work.
Enough. I mean, did you notice that the anti-fairies kind of faded out of business after Foop?
Yeah, literally. Why did they get rid of the anti-fairies? They were one of my favorite class of villains in the Fairly Odd Parents were, but yet, no, we get to have Foop, apparently the only anti-fairy to exist, who's one note.
Hey. Here's a question. There's a fairy the fairies have Poof, the anti-fairies have Foop. What do the pixies have?
They don't exist anymore.
We need a pixie Poof. We're gonna call him Bill. Like that one dude was gonna call him Bill.
Yeah, the head pixie. I was thinking Bill. Bill's the guy who could do your taxes. We're not naming him Fauntleroy. Now,
we could get a big elephant and let him step on some stuff.
Okay. Also, I remember one Herocious special that ended the specials in season 8. It was called Timmy's Secret Wish.
Oh boy,
I hate that one. I hate everything about it. I can go fuck off and die.
It literally undid the show itself. God,
apparently he stopped the clock of the universe for 50 years to keep his fairies forever.
God. Now, let's cheer ourselves up by dementing ourselves. Yeah, from moving on. Now, what's next on our log? Oh, Pig Goat Banana Cricket.
Oh boy, I have nothing to say
Never
about
heard
that
of
one. Besides, it looks like literally looks like I'm on a Ren and Stimpy. From what I
Here's
saw.
the thing. Let me explain. It is a modern Ren and Stimpy. The problem is this. It's a 22-minute cartoon.
Oh.
Every episode is a 22-minute cartoon. And they have 4 separate plots in those 22-minute cartoons. Pig gets a plot, Goat gets a plot, Banana gets a plot, and Cricket gets a plot. Now let's talk about each character individually, because I'm the only one who saw the entire show, both seasons. Now, the thing about this show is simple. It's basically, like, goat is basically girly girl goat thing. Banana is basically Eddie from Ed, Edd n Eddy. And pig is basically a dumbass. He's literally, and he's voiced by the same guy who does Hector and Sanjay and Craig. So that'll give you a little insight of how bad he is. Then there is Cricket, who's basically nerdy Jimmy Neutron, but a bug and a total nerd. It's like if Jimmy Neutron and the chameleon from Ed, Edd n Eddy had a baby that turned into a parasite. No, the whole show is just a hodgepodge. You know how Fanboy and Chum Chum was a hodgepodge?
Yeah.
Pig Goat Banana Cricket is a poorly executed hodgepodge. And it's not 11 minutes. It's 22 minutes per episode. So you get to see more hodgepodge than... And that doesn't work. If you... The plot goes all over the place because you're constantly shifting between the four characters and what they're doing. And you don't know, have any doubt, like, what the fuck is going on? Now, and believe it or not, it actually survived on Nickelodeon for about like a year. Which is impressive, considering that the next show basically cancels out that show and completely. Harvey Beaks! We're talking about Harvey Beaks now. We're almost there.
Yes. Yes, and we just hit the 2-hour mark, so that's good.
Harvey Beaks, everybody. Harvey. Basically, C.L. Greenblatt's second cartoon. The first one being Chowder.
And I think M-Page knows what happened with C.H. Greenblatt and Harvey Beaks. Otherwise, I wouldn't have anything else to say.
I think, yeah.
The
thing about
it's a bit fuzzy, but was the one that got canceled or something?
Yeah, what basically happened is that Harvey Beaks got canceled, and C.H. Greenblatt had no idea that it happened, and throughout the entire show's production, Nickelodeon just treated him like a piece of shit.
After all he did for writing on SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Yep.
It reminds me of that one show, I forgot what it was called and what network it was on, but like basically, like they were told up front that they were being canceled, so they filled the last few episodes with some random ass bullshit they could never get away with otherwise. But right before those episodes aired, the network was considering changing their mind and renewing, but then those episodes aired and then they got blacklisted.
Ooh.
Yeah, the thing about Harvey Beaks is it's what they call a charming comedy, which means that it's a comedy show, but it just like the other cartoons previous, but it's slow paced, meaning that it likes to take its time with jokes. And the thing is, it's cute. That's another word for it, because the visuals are great. The issue with Harvey Beaks is simple. Like, it's too slow. Like, that's probably one reason why it was canceled. But the thing is, it wasn't bad either. It was a fresh breath of air after Breadwinners and Pig Goat Banana Cricket. So you have to give them slack. Okay, we're getting down to it. Now we're gonna have to talk about the big house in the room, not the mouse house.
The
loud
house.
Yeah, in the loud house. Da 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 da.
The new cash cow Nickelodeon is grooming by the minute.
In the quiet house. In the quiet house.
Yeah. So in the loud house, basically, I remember this show caught me off by surprise on how good it was. I was thinking like, man, it's just gonna be another show Nickelodeon's gonna pass off and get rid of. But no. This is the show that literally brought it out of a dark age. And
but then plunged it right back as well.
Well, they had to change different voice actors for Lincoln.
Yeah,
exactly, because they actually use real kids as the
and we actually had to get more they brought back a lot of popular voice actors. They brought back Gray. They brought back Nika from voicing Chum Chum, made her voice Luna. Oh God, Luna. And you want to know what's a funny thing? The girl in Cat Scratch, the Kimberly girl, apparently her name was. She actually went back to voice Lenny.
Wow.
So they reached back to find new voice actors. And the thing is, my gripe with the Loud House is this. I'm sorry, Decent, I have to mention him again. Basically, at that point in my life, Mr. Enter had infected me so much that my brain was instantly to turn down any Nickelodeon shows that appeared. And I began seeing every single flaw that I didn't want to see in the show. And immediately saying, oh, this is bad. Because even things
Oh.
I didn't like.
Mhm.
Now, here's the thing. I liked the first season. There were a few episodes I hated, but I remember he reviewed One of the Boys. I hated that episode. I'm like, at least we share the same opinion for once. And then there was the second season, which dived into it even more. And also it gave us the biggest scoop ever. Luna's a lesbian, and the internet freaked out about this.
And also, too, the entire world freaked out about Clyde's parents.
And also the fact that Lincoln's parents had faces.
Yes.
And
I think the
and
Loud
all-
House was the final death of the whole, you don't see the parents' faces trope. Like, I think the Loud House kind of killed that.
Yeah, I think that then there's also okay, what else? Okay, not the face trope. Also, we get Ronnie Ann, which basically is the death wish, which basically like the puppy love trope we talked about with Helga and Arnold and Cindy and Jimmy. They hammer it the hardest with Lincoln and Ronnie Ann. That's what I hated about that relationship. I remember that first episode where she appeared, where Lincoln got beat the crap out of outside as his sister saying, "Oh, she just likes you." I hated all of his sisters that episode. Because I knew that that's not it. She's kicking in that. But then it turns out, oh, that is it. They just didn't know. And honestly, Nick and Eckler are brat in so many episodes. I always thought of Lincoln as a control freak. Now, second season, but in the third season, I know it dipped. Let's talk about some of my other hated characters in the show. Let's talk about Luann, the jokester. I hated, loathed the April Fool's episodes. God, those disgusted me. Like, because Luann was being...
Well, fit the tone of the character. So that's what it means.
Yeah, Luann, in the first April Fool's episode, it's shown that Luann loves to torture her siblings on April Fool. In the second one, she literally tortures them in a hotel. In the third one, she hires stunt doubles to ruin their lives. In the third season, that's what happened in the episode called Fool Me Twice. That episode made me hate Luann indefinitely. Now, I would go on about the third season, but the thing about the third season is it started to drag a lot, for me at least. I know at the end of it, remember the last episode I saw was the episode where Luna and Sam apparently finally got hooked up. I also remember the last special, I remember watching really loud music where Luna had to go on stage or something. And the show, and I wanted to watch the fourth season, but honestly, the fourth season started with something that we're going to talk about very soon. Now that we've talked about the biggest success now, we need to shift our focus back to the other success. SpongeBob, second movie, season, and also then season 9B to the present day.
Yeah, here's how recent SpongeBob strikes me. It was kind of like modern SpongeBob, but instead of being, gross, it just turned out to be just weird. It just turned out to be weird instead of gross. Otherwise, it was literally just like season 6 for Wade.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least it got better.
Yeah, at least weird is a hell of a lot better than gross.
Yeah, honestly,
yeah, like the animation is way better, not obnoxious anymore, and like the way they react is just funny.
God, I remember Mimic Madness. Who am I? I just
I like
can't.
plane crab. I like the plane crab episode.
Yeah, Krusty Bucket. I remember that. I was thinking like that. Like, I gotta show that to Ace. God damn! I remember me and Ace were working on that thing, and like, wow, he'd make a great villain to trick the Totally Spies into killing themselves.
Mm.
And that's how Alex Defends Black People was born. Thanks, season 12. So here's the thing: the only episode I've really seen people bitch about in all of season 9B to now is Ink Lemonade. I would like.
Well, of course, they're making lemonade out of his jizz. Why wouldn't they be pissed?
Well, technically, I think ink is a mixture of piss and excrement.
Wait,
least-
season
At
9
least
being
not,
12,
at
is
least not,
Random
at
Land
least
in
not
there, or
gross
is that
as
later?
Kelp Shake. At least not gross as Kelp Shake was.
The kelp shake, no. Yeah,
Ah.
the thing about they didn't show that till the end. But the thing throughout that, they showed Squidward spreading ink everywhere. Honestly, I wasn't bothered by it until Mr. Enter reviewed it.
Wait,
Thank
what
you,
season
Mr.
was Random Land in again?
12. God, that was an acid trip. Damn it.
I need to tell him that I need to talk about Random Land because I just saw the freaking clip that's going everywhere. Like, so many doors, so many different possibilities. One of them was Squidward's suicide.
Yep, and apparently that was actually edited out of later broadcasts.
Oh no.
Yeah, it showed up in the first airing and never again because Nickelodeon pulled it from the reruns just like they did with Just One Bite.
Oh god, I don't. Yeah,
All right.
Now, okay, we have to talk about the second movie too. Sponge Out of Water.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of weird that
was
how they
good.
went to 3D CGI in the live action.
Yeah.
They had no live
Now-
action 3D CGI.
Now, here's the. Now, it's confirmed by Nickelodeon that they will never end SpongeBob, which can be one thing, but let's just have a happy tune because
Don't get me started on that.
with the new
Yeah,
Sponge-
you can't stop the single show. We have no more to take room from you.
Now, let's talk about something that actually did finally end. Going back to Fairly Odd Parents, we're going to talk about season 9 and 10. Let's go. Let's go.
I think Butch Harmon got back on the team, and this one Chloe came in, didn't it?
No, let's start with Sparky.
Sparky.
He should have
when I
been
first saw
Tough Puppy. They should have connected the universes. That should have been the future Tough Puppy.
Yeah, and about Sparky, I thought, when I first saw Sparky, I thought, okay, but then I saw episodes with Sparky, I was like, oh my god.
Honestly, I think Sparky. Here's how I saw Sparky. Like I didn't mind Sparky. I thought his voice was funny, but that's because I was dumb and I liked people's voices. That's why I liked Cars 2. So here's the thing about Sparky is like I think it's Butch Hartman's attempt at making Brian Griffin.
Not at
Which
all.
coincidentally, Family Guy has Butch Hartman's real name as the Doctor.
Yeah, and here's the thing though, Sparky and Brian Griffin are actually fucking polar opposite characters.
God, it's just I'm sorry, yeah, 'cause Sparky's a dumbass. But honestly, here's the problem. I could see Sparky working. The thing about Sparky is like if they retooled him a lit or gave him, I don't know, character development. If they gave him actual character development, he could have been a nice character. But no, they just needed an extra idiot. Also, I remember season 9 was home to some of the worst episodes. I remember this episode. It was one of the worst I've ever seen. Basically, it was called Desperate Without Housewives. In this episode, Timmy and Cosmo wish away every woman in the universe for 24 hours. Now, you want to know what happens? They get to see he teams up with his father and Mr. Crocker, and basically they see Cosmo. They see Cosmo, yet Jorgen isn't wishing him away or stealing him. Yet his explanation is, oh, he's from a town with a with lower center of gravity. And so these alligator aliens invade. And let me tell you, Sparky isn't even in this episode. There are episodes where he isn't in it, and then there's episodes where Poof isn't in it. Basically, Sparky wasn't in the episode. So basically, it was basically Timmy, Cosmo, Timmy's dad, and Crocker fighting off these crocodile aliens. And that was pretty much the worst thing. Like, I kept screaming, how is Timmy not getting his fairy taken away? And then, all of a sudden, then let's move on. Before I continue to blab on about bad season 9-0s, let's explain. Let's explain the season that actually broke my love of Fairly Odd Parents. It wasn't Sparky. It was Chloe.
Chloe. My God, I don't even want to say anything about
that
her.
bitch.
Yeah, you see, and want to know a funny thing? The woman who voiced Chloe, she actually voiced Keta on Breadwinners. So that's how you know she's bad. She came from a bad show.
Oh my God. Anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, the thing where I saw that everything go downhill wasn't actually Chloe. It was like the inconsistency. Like, Sparky came in, and other than him using Poof as a chew toy, you never see Sparky and Poof in the same spot. And I think there were a couple episodes where you didn't see Sparky or Poof at all.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, that's not supposed to happen. You want to know the funny?
Although I would say this about Chloe. What if in the first episode she was in, when she wished for a perfect world or whatever, what if she literally wished in the Soviet Union and used that as a lesson on, like, perfect isn't always the best?
Yeah, also the thing I forgot to mention about Sparky is that, you know, he's voiced by
the... What if she wished for a perfect world and became Adolf Hitler?
Yeah, do you know that Sparky...
God.
Yeah, the thing about Sparky I forgot to mention is that, do you know that he was voiced by the same guy who did Snaptrap? So basically, Tough Puppy connection confirmed. So maybe Snaptrap wanted to ruin the Fairly Odd Parents, so he put himself in a dog body.
It is I, the Minion Snaptrap.
God, I love Snaptrap. Oh God, I wish we could go back to Tough Puppy, but we can't because we're already like 2 hours in, and we have to finish this. So season 10, we're going on to Chloe. Now let's talk about Chloe. You want to know the worst episode? You know how I remember when Mr. Enter first reviewed the big fairy scare. He said, "Does Chloe give you so few ideas that you have to introduce Poof for the first time, and you have to introduce Sparky for the first time?" Want to know what happened? They introduced Proof for the first time, and it made me want to puke. It was so bad that I even made an old solo review on it. That's how bad I hated it. A terrible solo review.
The problem with Chloe is that she's a Mary Sue. She's a fucking Mary Sue, and there's no way to say that nicely. She's a Mary Sue.
Here's the thing. You want to know what the Nickelodeon realized during the later season? They realized that The Fairly Odd Parents is a Mary Sue show. They could do whatever they want in it. Isn't that the perfect...
didn't Butch Harmon come back in season 10 with Chloe?
Dude, Butch Harmon never left. Butch Harmon never left.
Yeah, and that's probably why the reason...
Because
let's talk about...
I remember Butch Harmon, eventually brought the series back. And I don't know when or how that happened.
And here's the thing I should mention about the ending of Fairly Odd Parents. Basically, they had, in the middle of the season, they had to have budget cuts. Which means they had to make everything in the rest of the season in Flash animation.
They just started using Flash animation at that point? I thought the Flash animation came in when Sparky was introduced.
Nope.
They started using Flash, like a similar style to Bunsen as a Beast, around the middle of season 10.
Now let's talk. What was the final
Didn't
episode?
Bunsen be the crossover for that?
Decent. Do me a favor and find the final episode of Fairly Odd Parents. What was it again? Like,
Did you just say Doomer flavor?
yes, that was intentional. Now do it.
Yeah, what flavor? Sour cream and onion?
Ew. Actually, yes. It sounds terrible. Thank you.
And it was Hair Razor
It's
and
my
the Kale
favorite
Patch
flavor of
Caper.
potato chip too.
So that was the ending.
Yep.
God damn, that wasn't even a good ending. So basically, Fairly Odd Parents ended on a bad note.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to? Mike, here's the believer. You want to know what the worst part is?
What?
That's not Butch Hartman is at his worst. You want to know what Butch Hartman is at his worst?
What?
B-U-N-S-E-N, Bunsen is a beast. Not a hero, not a cranny.
I'm
Yeah,
glad I don't have anything to
at
say
one
about
point.
this
That
one.
much I remember.
Bunsen is a beast. Is
Oh,
literally.
little pop crossover. That's it.
It's literally, yeah. Here's the thing about Bunsen's Beast. It's literally just Fairly Odd Parents, but deconstruct. Just it's like Fairly Odd Parents if it was written by the people that made Breadwinners. And
So
also
kind of like how. Like,
Oh.
I mean, I know this isn't the Disney episode, but it's kind of like in Mile Murphy's Law. They pretty much just made Phineas and Ferb again.
Yeah, here's the thing about Bunsen is a beast. Like, it's not good. Like, it looks like Butch Hartman characters, but they're all Flash animated. And also, another thing is has all the same writers as season 10. And you know how season 10 is. We just talked about it.
Yeah.
The other
I'll say one last thing about Bunsen. And apparently Bunsen was animated in the typical Butch Hartman style once. It was in the crossover short of all of Butch Hartman's shows. That was the only time Bunsen was animated in the traditional Butch Hartman style.
And the thing about Bunsen is he's annoying. If people got annoyed by the Breadwinners, I got annoyed by Bunsen because he sounds like a jargled mess. The thing about Bunsen is that he's a Mary Sue in a different way. He's literally just like a fairy. He can spawn anything out of his fucking head. You want to know who else can spawn anything out of their fucking head? Coconut Fred. And Coconut Fred had a better animation than Bunsen. So,
Oy.
and and I'm glad that after Bunsen got kicked off of Nickelodeon, we never had to see Butch Hartman ever again until he leaked his fat ass onto YouTube. Now, we want
Fuck
to
YouTube.
please give us a better show. Please give us a better show, Nickelodeon, because Bunsen was a great. Oh fuck me, The Adventures of Kid Danger. Damn it!
No, that's just Henry Danger in animated form.
God, no. Here's the thing about that show. It shouldn't have existed ever. Dan Schneider should have never attempted making a cartoon. The only reason he tried was for one simple reason. He wanted to keep Henry Danger alive as much as possible. Honestly, the only thing worse was if they made a cartoon out of iCarly.
Weren't like the majority of the Kid Danger episodes just Henry Danger animated?
Yeah, literally. The thing is, they tried to do things they couldn't do with the live action. I think they turned Charlotte into hentai at one point.
Oh god. Like the idea of making like live action shows written like cartoons is nothing new. Like Henry Danger wasn't a pioneer. I think Big Time Rush was the first show I think of when it comes to that.
Oh god, we're gonna talk about that.
And its cartoon was okay. The Big Time Rush cartoon was okay. The pilot. Remember when Butch Hartman made the Big Time Rush cartoon pilot?
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh my god, I remember that.
The Adventures of Kid Danger was the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, I'm gonna say it. Bunsen is a beast. Looks better by comparison than that. Hell, you could argue that Breadwinners had a more original concept than The Adventures of Kid Danger. It's literally the sitcom as a cartoon, except there's no laugh track, which really shows because their humor does not fit without that fucking laugh track.
Honestly, if you want to talk sitcoms that should have been cartoons, Marvin.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that in the sitcom episode. We're gonna make a sitcom episode. Don't worry, We're going to make a sitcom episode, people in the audience, whoever's still
Right.
here. Okay, so before I have a brainy, I think it only ran for like one season because apparently Jace Norman thought I fucking hate that guy, didn't want to do anything, or just that they wanted to focus on finishing the actual show. So,
Right.
what show? Did they make a better superhero show? No, of course they didn't. They made Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because
It's okay.
no, it's Teen Titans Go but Turtles. That's how I see
Like,
it.
I'm going to say this about the Teen Titans Go style in general. I don't hate the comedic for kids style that they do with the superhero characters. Like, what I hate is the shows that make the same mistakes. Like, you want to make a funny show? Fine. You want to make a cheap ass version of a licensed property for comedy? Totally acceptable. Where I draw the line is when Teen Titans Go pretty much decided to make episodes that pretty much clap back at the critics and in their own goofy animated way tell them to piss off. Any show that does not do that gets a passing grade in my book.
Honestly, I didn't like Teen Titans Go from the get-go. And when I saw this thing was animated like that, and I watched a few episodes in the humor, like there's no Shredder, there's no Krang, there's mosquitoes and a villain that's voiced by John Cena. Because
Do.
yeah, and the thing, and also what bothered me also is that Raph is the leader. No, Leonardo's supposed to be the leader. Also, not to be racist.
Aren't they all like born the same? Aren't they like born the same day, but they made them look older? Like that's not how turtle families work.
Yeah, also not to be racist, but I don't like the April O'Neil they made in that show.
I mean, like, don't look at it. I mean, the strategy with, like, honestly, shows like Rise of Ninja Turtles and Teen Titans Go and Pony Life, don't look at it like an adaptation or a continuation of those properties. Think of it as a cheap comedy for kids. Teen Titans Go was good at that until they weren't. Pony Life, in theory, is also good at that. Ninja Turtles,
They they didn't even last a full season before they were kicked off. It was proof because there were.
I think I like to. Okay, why were they kicked off?
There were toys in the store before 6 months before the show even aired. Also, there was the Splatoon 2 Splatfest edition of this when I saw those new artists, and the thing, it's disgraceful, and like all that advertising for such a little payoff. Ugh, God.
I mean, that's the problem. Like, they never got a chance to shine on its own merits because they stuck to the Ninja Turtles marketing style of making the toys to sell and then just making the show around it.
God. So many things with that type of mindset. Now,
that was pretty much the Ninja Turtles marketing style from the get-go. Make money first, make show later. And even their comic book was just a parody of comic book culture at the time. That's what Ninja Turtles always was just a vehicle to sell toys.
God damn it. Okay. Well, at least the 2012 one ended right. They actually got to kill
That's
Shredder.
because they. That's because they went. That's because they did it right. They had the heart and soul to 83. Even though the 83 show was also a vehicle to sell toys, at least they actually cared about making a real good show. And so did the 2012 people.
These guys just didn't. Okay, now we're heading here into the home stretch. Okay, now what do we have? Oh yeah, the Casa Grandes.
AKA Mexican Loud House.
God, that
Because we need
honest,
more Loud House in this
Ole.
world.
here's the thing. I like to think of this as the Cleveland show of Nickelodeon.
It is, basically.
God, that's the best way to describe it. It's literally the same universe. It's just you get Ronnie Ann instead of Lincoln. And honestly, Ronnie Ann isn't really a good character. She's not. She's just a tomboy. She's just the basic tomboy. Nothing more to say about her.
Hey, I'm.
He's basically just a Mexican Lana Loud.
God.
Yeah.
Between
no.
it's like
Yeah, and the thing about
well, her cousins. I don't know the design of how they designed her cousins before the show started.
yeah, here's the thing about Ronnie Ann is more of a
Range Knot.
Wayne's not welcome to the show.
yeah. It's still going.
God.
Okay, we're good with Casa Grande. So basically, in Casa Grande days, it's simply the same thing. It's just instead of living in the suburbs with the loud, slowly being in being in the city with the fewer people in the family, and they're all Mexicans. So it's funny that this show isn't getting taken down
Yeah,
for
Regina, we're talking about Nicktoons, and we're about at the end.
yeah. So it's funny that Casa Grandes isn't getting taken down when El Tigre did. You know, stereotypical.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels so out of place, and honestly, it's just the only reason it exists is because the Loud House needed another Loud House. Oh, let's see how Family Guy's Cleveland show. It only lasted 4 seasons and then it got kicked off. And Cleveland show is a lot better than this one, than the Casa Grandes is, or ever probably will be, because it's just recycling Loud House plots. The first 5 episodes of the 4th season of the Loud House was basically backdoor pilot for this show. That's why I hated the 4th season of the Loud House, because they didn't show Loud House right away. They should have showed 1 episode being a backdoor pilot, not 5. 5, not 5. And that's pretty much all that has to be said about the Loud House, the Casa Grandes and the Loud House. Now we're gonna have to go with the final show that I actually have even the tiniest bit of reaction or in touch with. It's Pony.
Yeah,
As if-
from what I've seen of its pony, it's pretty much just a generic show, from what I've seen.
Here's the
What?
thing. It's Nickelodeon's attempt to grab the Brony fandom away from the ending My Little Pony show.
I never even heard of it, and you're already making me laugh my ass off.
Seriously, but here's the thing. I watched an episode or 2 of it, and it's not funny. It's just a brown pony with a redhead girl doing your random shit. Every fucking episode. Where have I seen that before?
It sounds like BoJack Horseman, the kids version.
Yeah, it's just BoJack Horseman, the kid. And here's the thing: they don't even sound interesting. Like the horse doesn't have a funny voice. It's just a normal horse. It's basically if Sanjay and Craig wasn't gross. That's what I think of that.
Yeah. It's like Sanjay and Craig minus the gross plus the vibe of BoJack Horseman minus the furry stuff.
Mine is acting like dicks all the time.
So minus the furry stuff.
Yeah, so... And now we're at the final thoughts. Everyone pipe up. So
Alright,
gives the...
here are my final thoughts
Wait,
on...
wait, I forgot one thing. We have to talk about two big elephants in the room.
Camp
We have to
Coral?
talk Camp Coral and the Loud House movie.
You might as... Well, here's my thoughts on Camp Coral. From what... I saw the sneak peek of Camp Coral, and it's pretty much just SpongeBob, but babified. Like, I was expecting a different show under the SpongeBob name, but nope, it's just SpongeBob. Both kids.
Yeah, and honestly...
Basically, Camp Coral is what would have happened if Nickelodeon had full control over SpongeBob instead of having to fight Hillenburg every time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
I'm gonna say it again. They should have made a show about Sandy, and you already know that from early in the episode, because Sandy would have made a better... I would rather have SpongeBob King of the Hill mix-up than that. It looks ugly. It looks... I'm gonna say, it looks worse than Planet Sheen.
Yeah, like, it's
I
weird
wanna
because it's been a decade since
I want
Planet
to
Sheen.
know its backstory.
Yeah, they haven't had a 3D animated show since Planet Sheen. And this is probably just going to cement the idea that they should never have one again. Because they are not capable of it anymore. And finally, the Loud House fucking movie that they're making. And gonna put it on Netflix.
Oh boy.
The issue I have is, Nickelodeon, come here. Smack you in the face. Why are you putting it on net? Why can't you just release it on your own channel? Like you used to do with the SpongeBob movie a million times. If you can't release it in theaters, the audacity you could have is to release it on your own channel and actually respect your fucking show that's making you millions of dollars. Can you not do that for once in your life? There's so many of shows here in this one fucking idiotic thing that we've had to list over the past 2.5 hours. I'm losing sleep because of this. There's so many things I want to say to you, Nick. It's like, the Loud House, first of all, the Loud House doesn't deserve a movie yet.
Exactly. I mean, at least it being on Netflix gives it an air of prestige.
Here's the thing. Put it with the fuck... If you're gonna have it on Netflix, at least put it on the Nickelodeon channel. Schedule a night to put it on there, too. So that people who actually watch the show on the channel will actually be able to see it.
Well, that's probably gonna happen within like a couple months.
And honestly, the this photo, it looks ugly. Honestly,
Yeah, it does. Like, it's basically just a shitty attempt to make the Loud House style better. Like, did you just forget that it's supposed to be like comic book style?
Yeah, and honestly, it's just... The whole plot is that apparently they're part of a royal Scottish family. Scottish, huh? Do any of them speak even closely to Scottish? I forget, because they don't look like Scottish. And honestly, I remember seeing articles about a Loud House movie, and it said they were going to do something they couldn't do on Nickelodeon. My thought was, Lori and Bobby getting married finally. It's like that actually seems like something they couldn't do on Nickelodeon. Like, if, that would make sure it'd be cheesy, but that'd make a much better movie. Then the sudden royalty to the Loud House. Like, that's not a movie. That's a half-hour special. I'm going crazy. Oh,
Alright,
God.
let's wrap this
And
up.
now we got final thoughts. Everyone, it's time for final thoughts.
Alright. Nickelodeon is a weird network. It went up and down, up and down, up and down. And what's interesting about this is that we're already starting to look at the era after they changed their logo in a more positive light. Like, we used to look at it as just, oh my god, Nickelodeon's just going downhill. But now we're looking at it positively now.
Yes.
Now, God, be sure to put the list of the stuff we talked about in the description of the video, DSM. I'll give it to you.
Alright.
Um, in regards to its animations, I'll say like there were times where it was good, there were times where it wasn't good. One thing I'll give them credit for, it was a real mixed bag of variety, and I'll also add that we should start shipping ticks to the mental facilities.
Yeah, and I was gonna say this, Tix. Since we generally talked about the Nicktoons in chronological order, I don't think we need a list.
And honestly, it's just, yeah. My final, Tony, you go next on your final thoughts. I'll be the final thoughts.
I'm just gonna say that Nickelodeon just right now on Nicktoons channel. They should really just put Nicktoons and some old, just some 2000s Nicktoons, because 2000s Nicktoons not really barely syndicated on like the Nicktoons. They have to put Danger Force, which is stupid. And if anyone agrees, do you agree with me, Tix, that Danger Force is probably one of the worst?
Yeah, I remember
sitcoms ever?
tearing my hair out when I saw that after the final episode. Henry Danger was announced. I'm like, no, why can't they just let it die?
I
And
know, but yeah,
we're
go ahead.
gonna have Nick, Tonio, you have to make a sitcom episode, a kid's sitcom episode for a future date.
I will
Hey,
get to that, but I'm just let me say this. Let me say about
I want to
like,
do.
well, like Nick, like, but for like Nickelodeon, like they just should just focus more on cartoons than sitcoms. Like right now, sitcoms, there's no good value to the new sitcoms. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, 'cause
Like
Okay.
sitcoms, they can kind of go wherever, but I still stand by like Nickelodeon would not be as popular with the kids as it was in the 2000s if it weren't for in the 90s 2000s if it weren't for the game shows.
Exactly.
now it's time for
Like,
my thoughts.
You cannot have Nickelodeon without Double Dare, honestly.
God. I'm surprised they haven't just made a show with a bucket that's about a lob of slime. That's Nickelodeon slime.
I mean, technically, Family and Chum had a whole episode about slime.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was a weird one. Really broke.
And the
fourth
slime
wall.
actually started with a syndicated show called You Can't Do That on Television.
So now it's my turn to do the final thought. As we come to a close on this longest episode we've ever done of anything, we're going to look back because it was quite a ride, and my mouth is sore. So now,
Yep.
so I loved Nickelodeon.
That's what she said.
It was the only thing I watched as a kid, even through all of its worst time. Looking at you, breadwinners. Looking at you, Chloe. Looking at you, Planet Sheen. I stuck by it. For some reason, I was the idiot guinea pig that managed to see every Nickelodeon show listed at this here tonight. And I don't know if that's impressive or masochistic. So let's say
It's impressive.
yeah, let's send it with like
Let's send it off here.
Nickelodeon.
Woohoo! And next Raw, we're gonna be doing Royal Rumble.
God, Royal Rumble. Finally, an actual. We're gonna
Royal
have a-
Rumble? What do you mean Royal Rumble?
We're gonna have
Yeah,
that.
like
for
you were
next-
talking. You were talking about.
I was
this...
talking about our future Raw, but I didn't say about next Raw.
All right, fine. We're gonna do a random one. We're gonna do a random one. Whatever. You'll see what it is later. All right, and the next SmackDown is gonna be about the DreamWorks.
God, wow. Yeah.
And once
DreamWorks.
again, you should check out Jobbox Rumble next Saturday. Fine, let's end this episode because it's already long enough.
God.
Yes.
Sayonara.